Chapter 29:35. Luli made up his mind. He could no longer control the evil in him. He felt he would die if he didn't take in the holy energy. His soul had been corrupted, and he couldn't care less. Of course, he didn't lose his mind. He knew very well that once he was exposed, not only would he die, but the entire Lu family might be implicated. His personality had changed, but it didn't mean he didn't care about the Lu family. He was going to kill a powerful warrior of the Zhu family. Once Emperor Candle Heaven knew, he would seek revenge. By then, not even immortal Tianzue could protect the Lu family. Therefore, Luli had to act in secret. He would leave as soon as he was done, leaving no trace behind. In this way, he could render meritorious service without affecting the Lu family. He knew his reputation would be tarnished, but he didn't care. He only hoped that the Lu family would not be affected. Luli obtained a token of the Asmodean Lord. He could come and go as he pleased, but he could not command Asmodeans or mobilize armies from the Asmodean abyss. Luli had figured out the route. He would teleport to the Flying Fire continent and then cross the Feather Sea to reach the East Feather continent. The East Feather continent was not a large continent. There were 4 Imperial Realm warriors, but the Zhu family had 2. At the East Feather continent, the Zhu family was the royal family. Nobody dared to challenge the Zhu family. The Zhu family was known as the most powerful family in the third heaven. Zhu Fan was known as the most powerful young master. Luli rode, the holy demon. He teleported to the front line at the Flying Fire continent in one go. There was a super large Asmodean abyss there as well. It was not complete, but it was beginning to take shape. Before Luli left, Qin Yuan gave him 3 bottles of pellets. These pellets were condensed from holy qi. When Luli was in desperate need of holy qi, he could take one. Luli felt much better after taking one. It was like a slow-acting poison, one that could make people addicted. He had to take it continuously. This was how the Asmodean abyss controlled humans. When Luli arrived, he was taken to see the 2 Asmodean lords. They didn't say anything. They only encouraged Luli to serve the Asmodean abyss and that he would be rewarded. That sacred Lord Tian gave Luli a secret skill which he had taught to Qi Tianyu. This skill could help Luli hide his Asmodean Qi so that he would not be exposed. Luli was an important chess piece. Sacred Ancestor Tian did not want Luli to die so easily. Therefore, he gave Luli this skill. It was worth mentioning that Luli learned that Qi Tianyu was the apprentice of another Asmodean lord. Luli was at the Enchanted Land. After cultivating for half a month, he completed the cultivation of this secret technique and left alone. He did not walk through the area controlled by humans. Instead, he took a detour to the Feather Flight territorial waters. He released a secret technique to restrain the devil Qi on his body. He looked no different from an ordinary human. After arriving at the Feiyu territorial waters, he took out the Godspeed boat, which was given to him by Qi Wangshan. He took the Godspeed boat and flew towards the East Feather continent. Along the way, he focused on cultivating. He had been demonized, but it did not affect his cultivation. The East Feather Sea was not under the control of the abyss of demons. There were people on many islands. Luli hid his tracks along the way. As long as there were islands, he would try his best to avoid them. He didn't want to expose himself. After flying for more than half a month, a few people suddenly flew up from the sea below and blocked the Godspeed boat. Luli opened his eyes at once. There were 3 of them. All of them were Asmodeans, and one of them was an emperor quasi-emperor. The 3 of them flew up and locked on to Luli with psychic power. The emperor quasi-emperor shouted coldly, "Who are you? How dare you run amok in my territory? Give me 1 trillion divine stones and leave the Godspeed boat, and I will spare your life." Upon hearing these words, Luli was filled with murderous intent. He had been demonized to begin with, so he had a strong murderous nature. His eyes reddened at these words. He dashed out and slapped at the quasi-emperor at lightning speed with his hand glistening with source energy. Boom! Emperor quasi-emperor was no match for Luli. At this critical moment, the Asmodean took out a shield to defend himself. But Luli smashed the shield. Luli's hand moved forward and then landed on the emperor quasi-emperor's head. Boom! The Emperor Quasi-Emperor was killed at once. He was no match for one move from Lu Li. The other two Asmodeans panicked and tried to run away. But Lu Li's might spread out, and at the same time, his evil and cold chi and energy pressed down on them. The two Asmodeans' pupils contracted. Knowing that they could not escape, they knelt and said, "Lord, please spare our lives. We're forced to do this. We are Asmodean Li's subordinates. This has nothing to do with us." Lu Li would not listen to their explanation. He moved and smashed their heads. Then he put the three bodies into his interspatial ring. Those were meritorious deeds. He could bring them back to record them. Phew. It was not until he killed the two that Lu Li felt something was off. Before he was demonized, he would not have killed. After all, he was a fellow human. At most, he could take 3 to serve at the theater of operations. But just now, he didn't even think about it. He killed the 3 directly. It meant that the dark and evil thoughts in his soul had taken over. Under such circumstances, he would not think about anything else. What is wrong with me? Should I wake up my primary soul? Or should I consume the demonic chi? Why should I consume it? Isn't this good? Live a carefree life and do whatever you want. I should kill the 3 and all the Asmodeans. What does the human race have to do with me? I am a citizen of the sacred abyss. I will kill all the humans. I will go to the East Featherland and kill all the Zhu family. Kill them all. An idea came to Lu Li's mind, but it was soon drowned out by other thoughts. Most of his soul had been demonized. It was as if he was going through a heaven's tribulation. He had lost his mind. Even though he had the right idea, he could not occupy the dominant position in his primary soul. It was the same as when he was demonized in the divinity. Soon, Lu Li took the Godspeed boat and flew away. He was getting more and more angry. This time, he didn't steer the Godspeed boat away from the island. He had one idea in his mind: to kill his way through and kill every single one of the Zhu family. Killing the 3 Asmodeans had aroused Lu Li's desire to kill. His physical body had been demonized. Now his soul was showing signs of being demonized as well. Not long after Lu Li flew away, a shadow suddenly condensed in the air. It was sacred ancestor Tion. He looked at the Godspeed boat and nodded. Not bad. If this goes on, it won't be long before he becomes a citizen of the sacred abyss. He will become a sharp sword against the king realms of the sacred abyss. When he is fully sanctified, he can be sent to the sacred abyss to be transformed. Maybe he can reach the peak of the demon venerable. By then, the humans will have a headache. Chapter 29:36. Along the way, Lu Li passed by several islands. The islands here were gathering places for pirates. The pirates' eyes glowed when they saw the Godspeed boat. They all wanted to rob it, but they knew that the Godspeed boat was filled with powerful warriors, so they didn't dare to do anything. They didn't dare to do anything, but Lu Li did. After the 3 warriors were killed, Lu Li's killing intent grew stronger. He sensed that the people down there were up to no good. Without any hesitation, he dashed out and began his killing spree. There are not many people on the islands, only over 1,000. Lu Li tore them all apart, leaving none alive. Also, Lu Li would crush their heads, as if this was the only way to vent his anger and make him feel good. By the time Lu Li arrived at the East Featherland, his hands were stained with the blood of over 10,000 people. Though most of them were roving bandits, many of them didn't offend him. In the old days, he wouldn't have killed them. Unconsciously, the evil in Lu Li's body began to affect him, changing his temperament. This time, it was different from the time when he was demonized in the divinity. Back then, he lost his mind and was in a muddle-headed state. He became a killing machine like a demon. This time, his mind was clear and he believed it was the right thing to do. He was no longer the old Lu Li. The old Lu Li only had a strand of his primary soul that was sealed and dormant. Under normal circumstances, he would not be able to wake up on his own. Lu Li had arrived at the East Featherland. There were many people here. His killing intent was growing stronger. But he forced himself to calm down. He could not go on a killing spree. Otherwise, he would be alarmed. In that case, not only would he die, so would the Lu family. The kindness in his heart had been erased. His desire to protect the Lu family was still deeply rooted in his soul. He didn't want to alarm Emperor Candleheaven, nor did he want powerful human emperors, including the immortal of heaven's sin, to hunt him down. Therefore, he suppressed his killing intent and didn't take the Godspeed boat. Instead, he flew in the wild in a low-key manner. His speed was very fast, and his perception was very terrifying. How can an ordinary person detect his whereabouts? The territory of the Zhu family was at the northwest of the East Featherland, not far away. Luli dared not to go into the city to gather information in his current state. He had to sneak toward the territory of the Zhu family. Even though Luli was fast, it took him 2 months to arrive at a territory, the Fiery Wind Territory. This was one of the 10 territories occupied by the Zhu family, but it was not a very strong one. Luli made his move. He attacked a small resource land of the Zhu family. He didn't attack this place to vent his anger. He merely wanted to get the information he wanted. There were only hundreds of warriors stationed in this resource-rich area, and the most powerful one among them was a warrior of the Fifth Tribulation. For Luli, he felt no pressure. He killed the hundreds of warriors easily, leaving only 10 warriors alive. He was wearing a mask, so no one could see his real face. The aura around his body was extremely cold. Even though no one could sense any devil chi from his body, it was the same feeling that Zhu Fan had sensed from Qi Tianyu back then. No matter how one looked at him, he did not seem like a pure-blooded human. Whoever can tell me the situation of the Zhu family, I will spare his life. Luli looked at the 10 coldly and said. The first one snorted. Luli waved his saber, and the man's head flew up at once. Luli turned to the second one, who was panicking. But he made up his mind and said nothing. Luli's saber flew over at once. It was a decisive move without any hesitation. The third one didn't say anything either. Luli killed his way over. As long as he looked over, anyone who hesitated to speak would be beheaded by Luli. When Luli killed the 7th one, the 8th one was finally scared. He dropped to his knees, kowtowed, and said, "Lord, please spare my life. I will tell you everything. I will tell you everything." Luli waved his saber and killed the other 2, except for the 8th one. He said coldly, "Speak." An hour later, Luli got the information he wanted. The 8th one, of course, was dead. Luli was not the same as before. Naturally, he would not leave anyone alive to leak the information. He had a map in his hand, a map of the distribution of forces of the Zhu family. The distribution of forces of the Zhu family was recorded in detail. Even though most of the powerful warriors of the Zhu family had gone to the southern theater of operations, there were still dozens of lords staying here. Naturally, the base camp of the Zhu family was the Zhu family's base camp, the Zhu King City. There were at least 30 lords there, and they were protected by powerful formations. It would be difficult to take the city down. Of course, if Luli wanted to take the city by force, it would not be a problem because Blood Fairy could crack the formations. As long as the formations of the Zhu King City could be cracked, the dozens of lords could be killed by Luli easily. The question was, could Luli kill all of them in the city? Could he guarantee that no one would escape? Of course, Luli was not sure. Once the information was leaked, he might be fine, but the Lu family would be razed to the ground by Emperor Candleheaven. Luli thought for the time for one incense stick to burn before he found his target. The target he wanted to attack was a spiritual mountain. There were precious divine materials in this mountain, and they were extremely valuable. This kind of divine material could only be found here, and it was a very important treasure land for the Zhu family. Luli believed that the Zhu family would not turn a blind eye to this place. Reinforcements would come. He would conquer this place and kill all the reinforcements from the Zhu family. Then, his mission would be accomplished. He would have enough credits after killing so many powerful warriors. He could enter the Holy Pond many times. Luli began to act as soon as he made up his mind. The Zhu family only had 2 great emperors. Emperor Candleheaven would not come back easily. The other one should be at the southern theater of operations. It would take some time for him to come back. Luli would have enough time to finish the job and leave. He sneaked toward the mountain secretly. The mountain had a poetic name, the Mountain of Peach Blossoms. There were many mountains around the mountain that formed a chain. The entire mountain range was a restricted area. Nobody was allowed to come close. Anyone who sneaked into the mountain would be killed without mercy. 5 days later, Lu Li was near the mountain of peach blossoms. He was not in a hurry to attack the mountain. Instead, he sent Blood Fairy to explore and crack the formations. Blood Fairy did not have human emotions. She did not care what kind of person Lu Li had become. Even if Lu Li were to become a demon, she would still obey him. It took Blood Fairy 2 hours to figure out the situation. At the same time, she quietly broke some of the magic formations around the mountain range. This place must be important to the Zhu family. There were over 10,000 warriors stationed here, and a lord at the later stage was guarding in person. There were many formations outside the mountain range. In the core area of the Mountain of Peach Blossoms, there were several rune formations. Blood Fairy was afraid that she would alarm the powerful warriors inside, so she only cracked the ones outside. "Let's go." Lu Li flew away like a ghost. There were over 1,000 scouts outside the mountain range. Lu Li did not want the information to be leaked. Therefore, he must kill everyone outside quietly. P.S. I suddenly want to add more. Chapter 29:37. To Lu Li, killing 1,000 Ming guards was like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Even an average lord could do it, let alone Lu Li. For Lu Li, doing this was as easy as moving clouds and flowing water. He circled around the edge of the mountain, and more than 1,000 warriors died quietly. Lu Li slowly walked toward the Mountain of Peach Blossom after all the warriors were killed. He ordered Blood Fairy to break down the rune formations around the Mountain of Peach Blossom. Blood Fairy's ability to destroy formations was impressive. When Lu Li arrived at the foot of the mountain, the formations glowed and then disappeared. The mountain was exposed to Lu Li. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The more than 10,000 warriors stationed at the Mountain of Peach Blossom were alarmed. Many warriors flew up and checked with psychic power. Soon, they found Lu Li. Woo woo woo, a shrill horn sounded. This was a warning. A late-stage overlord warrior slowly walked out of the castle at the peak of Peach Blossom Mountain. He looked down at Lu Li, who was standing at the foot of the Peach Blossom Mountain, with a serious expression on his face. This was the Peach Blossom Mountain, one of the most important resource lands of the Zhu family. It was the lifeblood of the Zhu family. Yet someone dared to attack this place? Attacking this place was equivalent to declaring war on the Zhu family. Now that they were in the third heaven, who would dare to start a war with the Zhu family? Even immortal Tianzue wouldn't dare to touch the Zhu family, right? The only explanation was that this man was a madman, an unruly old devil, and an old devil who had a grudge against the Zhu family. No matter who this person was, the late-stage sixth tribulation expert of the Zhu clan knew that they were in trouble. He waved his hand, and a person immediately entered the castle. He teleported to Zhu Emperor City to get reinforcements. Since Lu Li was wearing a mask, the patriarch could not see his face. What was more, Lu Li had cultivated the skill given by Tian. The patriarch of the Zhu family could not tell Lu Li's realm and qi and energy. Therefore, he had no idea who Lu Li was. Very good. Lu Li had been using the trace of Tao. When he noticed that someone was teleported away, his eyes were filled with bloodlust. As long as someone teleported out to ask for reinforcements, the rest of the people wouldn't be left alive. Xiao, the patriarch of the Zhu family, flew up, looked at Lu Li coldly, and said, "I am Candlesnake, the patriarch of the Zhu family. I don't know who you are, but I want to tell you. This is the Mount of Peach Blossom. If you dare to attack here, you will be declaring war against the Zhu family. Even if you can kill all of us, I believe that my great emperor will definitely find you and find you." Right now, the people of the third layer of heaven were united in resisting the demon abyss. Taoist Master Tianzue had already ordered that no one was to have internal strife or kill each other. If you dare to make a move, you will become the enemy of the entire third heaven. Ha ha ha! Lu Li laughed out loud. His eyes were filled with cruelty. He said coldly, "When your emperor supported the Tsang family to attack the Yin family, why didn't you say this? Why didn't your young master Zhu Fan mention this when he secretly destroyed the clan? Only the Zhu family is allowed to set fire, but others are not allowed to light a lamp? How can there be such logic in this world? Candlesnake's pupils shrank. This person was very familiar with the matters of the Zhu family. It seemed that today's matter would not be settled peacefully. Just as Candlesnake was about to say something to stall for time, Luli did not give him the chance. Candlesnake forced himself into action. There was only one lord here, and the others were warriors of the fourth or fifth tribulation. Luli didn't even have to use source energy or treasures to kill them. Luli walked toward the mountain of peach blossom slowly and released soul skills of wind. How powerful was his soul attack? Anyone that was attacked by soul skills of wind would roll around with their heads in their hands. After a while, their souls would be destroyed. Many miserable cries came out. Teams after teams of warriors fell from the sky. Blood flowed out from their eyes, noses, mouths, and mouths. They rolled on the mountain of peach blossom and became dead bodies. 500, 1,000, 3,000. Luli's efficiency in killing these low-level warriors was too high. He had only taken a dozen steps forward, and already thousands of warriors had fallen to the ground. They died with blood flowing out from their eyes, noses, mouths, and mouths. Their souls were destroyed and dispersed. How? Candlesnake was shocked. Luli didn't do anything, and yet he could kill thousands of warriors easily. There was only one explanation for this, and that was a soul attack. Luli was a powerful soul warrior. Charge! There was no other way. Candlesnake bellowed. If he didn't take action now, the more than 10,000 warriors would all die. Candlesnake took out a piece of treasure, an incense burner. The incense burner emitted some fragrance that could confuse enemies so that they could be killed by Candlesnake. The incense burner danced in the air and circled around Luli. Luli smelled the fragrance as well. His eyes became clouded as if he was hypnotized by the fragrance. Okay, Candlesnake was overjoyed. He took out a dagger and stabbed at Luli's head in a blur. However, when he was close to Luli, he realized something was wrong. At that moment, Luli's eyes became clear and filled with killing intent. Whoosh! Luli reached out his hand like a ghost and grabbed Candlesnake's neck before he could react. Luli sneered and said, "You want to trick me with this little trick?" Ridiculous. Boom! Luli released some origin energy. Candlesnake's head was crushed. He was only at the later stage of the Lord Realm. Even if Candlesnake had a divine weapon or a holy weapon, Luli could kill him as easily as pinching a chick, let alone this little trick. The rest of the warriors were scared after the death of this lord. Some started to run away quietly. Finally, Luli took out his horn and blew it. He didn't want anyone to run away. Therefore, he used the horn to release the law of sound. That was the most convenient way to launch a group attack. Woo, 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 the deep sound of the horn was heard. This time, the sound had traveled too far. Luli turned around quickly and circled around the army. The rest rolled down with their heads in their hands. Many had their souls destroyed or collapsed. In the time for dozens of breaths, more than 10,000 warriors had been turned into corpses. Their bodies were scattered all over the mountain of peach blossoms. These soldiers all died miserably, all of them bleeding from their 7 apertures. Their eyes were filled with pain, and the muscles on their faces were twisted. In the old days, Luli might not have the heart to do this. But now, he didn't feel uncomfortable. He was even a bit excited. Right now, his heart was occupied by all kinds of dark and evil thoughts. Killing people was a very enjoyable thing. There were many strange elixirs on the mountain, but Luli didn't collect them. He was not interested in them. He flew down and walked into the castle slowly. There was a teleportation formation in the castle. Luli believed that powerful warriors of the Zhu family would come to help soon. Now, it was up to the number. I wonder if Zhu Fan will come. A red glow rose in Luli's eyes. If Zhu Fan could come, everything would be perfect. Luli hated all his enemies, including Zhu Fan, Heaven-Burning Emperor, Phoenix Empress, and Emperor Yang. If he had the chance, he would kill them one by one. How about I take the teleportation formation and kill my way into Candle King City? Another idea came to Lu Li's mind. As soon as this idea came to mind, he became more excited and his killing intent grew stronger. As he killed more and more people, the demonic thoughts in his soul became stronger and stronger. Perhaps he would soon become a complete demon, and the main soul that was sealed in the nameless pearl would never wake up. Chapter 29:38. In the end, Lu Li resisted the urge to teleport over. There were too many people in Candle Emperor City, at least tens of millions. Even if he could kill thousands in one go, it would take him a long time. It was inevitable that someone would run away. By then, the truth would be exposed and the Lu family would be doomed. Therefore, Lu Li waited in the castle quietly. Time moved on. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the teleportation formation glowed. 20 people were teleported over. All of them were lords, and there were 2 at the Quasi-Emperor realm. Not here. Lu Li checked, and was disappointed to see that Zhu Fan was not among them. As for the 20, Lu Li didn't worry about them at all. To him, they were just average warriors, even if they were at the Quasi-Emperor realm. After the 20 people came out, they scanned their surroundings with their divine sense. After a while, their expressions changed dramatically. They realized that the mountain of peach blossoms had turned into hell. Everywhere they checked with psychic power, there were dead bodies in a horrible way. All of them had died with blood flowing out of their eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. Their faces were filled with pain and fear. There was also the elder who was guarding this place. His head had exploded, and his corpse had been thrown into the ditch below. How cruel was his death! It had only been the time for a few incense sticks to burn from when they went back to ask for help to when they were teleported over. Over 10,000 people had been killed. How efficient was this? In the end, all of them focused on Lu Li, who was sitting in the castle. They were all on guard. After Lu Li killed all of them, he was sitting quietly in the castle. What did it mean? It meant that Lu Li was waiting for them. If Lu Li was not courting death, then he must be a powerful warrior who was not afraid of them. Boom! While they were checking Lu Li up and down, the teleportation formation under their feet suddenly trembled. Then, the teleportation formation cracked, which startled them. They checked with psychic power. A blood-red shadow disappeared and went back to Lu Li's side and into his body. They walked out of the room slowly and entered the hall. They stood in a fan shape and surrounded Lu Li. A white-haired old man in a luxurious robe checked Lu Li repeatedly with psychic power, but found nothing wrong. Lu Li was wearing a mask. Warriors below the Emperor realm could not see through him. Lu Li had learned a secret skill that made him undetectable. In the past, someone could sense Lu Li's life energy. Now, not even that. The old man looked at Lu Li coldly and asked, "Who are you, and why are you attacking the Zhu family?" Lu Li smiled lightly and said, "Nothing. I just don't like the Zhu family, your Zhu Fan, and your old fart, Zhu Tian." Impudent. The white-bearded quasi-emperor was enraged. Zhu Tian was the leader of the Zhu family, and he was the god of the Zhu family. Whoever dared to humiliate Emperor Zhu Tian would be humiliating the entire Zhu family. The quasi-emperor did not attack immediately. Instead, he continued to ask, "Since you dare to challenge our Zhu clan, you must not be a nobody. Tell me your name." "So what if I tell you my name? Do you think you can go back alive?" Lu Li said with a smile. Even though he was smiling, everyone could feel the coldness. Some lords had already unsheathed their weapons, ready to attack. Lu Li didn't want to waste time with them. He unleashed his spirit and Emperor's might. He took out a horn and blew it. The two quasi-emperors' expressions changed. Almost at the same time, they shouted, "Lu Li." They had already had their doubts. Even though Lu Li hid his energy and wore a mask, he was just like Qi Tianyu back then. Lu Li didn't seem to be a pure-blooded human. Since he was not a pure-blooded human, then he must be a demon. The Asmodean Qi around Lu Li was not thick either. He didn't seem to be a powerful warrior from the abyss of devils in disguise. All things considered, Lu Li's identity was questionable. There was no doubt about Lu Li's identity when he revealed his Asmodean realm power and took out the horn. They were in despair. Lu Li was strong. Back then, Emperor Yu's arm was torn off by Lu Li. Emperor Yu was a famous warrior for many years. Though they knew they were no match for Lu Li, they would not resign themselves to death. One of the quasi-emperor took out a jade talisman and crushed it. Then he dashed toward Lu Li. The other quasi-emperor did the same. The other overlords did something strange at this moment. They actually began to flee in all directions. That was right. Apart from the two quasi-emperor, all the other lords ran away. Nobody wanted to die. To risk their lives when they knew death was inevitable would be reckless and idiotic. If they could kill Lu Li by risking their lives, then they wouldn't run away. It was pointless to stay when they were faced with an enemy they could not defeat. More importantly, they could send a message out. In that case, Emperor Burning Heaven would have a good reason to deal with Lu Li. Otherwise, if Lu Li killed them all, Emperor Burning Heaven wouldn't even know who did it. Lu Li ignored the two quasi-emperor's attacks. He blew the horn and the sound waves spread out. At the same time, he released the wind spirit technique, and the 10,000 soul needles turned into gusts of wind that blew out in all directions, taking the initiative to find and attack the lords. He didn't need to use Sword of Soul. Wind spirit was enough. After all, Lu Li's soul was so strong that the average lords couldn't stand it. He was right. As soon as Lu Li released his soul attack, the others could not run away. At the same time, Lu Li was hit by the two quasi-emperor's attacks. Boom! The castle was directly blasted into smithereens by the powerful chi strength. Smoke and dust filled the air, blocking everyone's vision. That being said, they could tell that Lu Li was fine. The sound of the attack was muffled, as if they were hitting a mountain. Lu Li quietly released his origin energy armor. Neither of their attacks could break through the origin energy armor. The two quasi-emperors lost all hope. Several lords cried out in pain. Lu Li took action as well. He took out chains of order and swept them at the two quasi-emperors. One of them was too close and could not dodge. He was turned into a mist of blood as soon as the chain touched him. The other quasi-emperor couldn't stand Lu Li's Sword of Soul. He only had an 8th rank enchanted soul. Not even a 9th rank enchanted soul could survive Lu Li's Sword of Soul. The quasi-emperor died instantly. With the death of the two quasi-emperors, it was easy to kill the rest of the lords. All the lords were affected by Lu Li's wind spirit. Some were rolling on the ground, while others were slowed down. Lu Li dashed away. He didn't even use the divine chains of order. He relied on his origin energy to attack and killed all the lords with one punch. Chapter 29:39. Lu Li left stealthily. He didn't want to be found by the scouts. Not even the best scouts could find him. After all, he didn't have a strong Asmodean energy. The scouts of the Zhu family went after him as well, but to no avail. The entire Zhu family was in a frenzy. Many scouts and warriors were mobilized. Warriors of the 10 groups were mobilized to find the culprit. In addition to the Zhu family sent messages to all the families at the East Featherland. 3 days after Lu Li left, all the families of the East Featherland were mobilized to search for him. However, Lu Li was so powerful and had such strong senses. Who could find him? Lu Li avoided the scouts easily and moved on quickly. He actually had a very strong, killing intent in his heart. He wanted to kill all the scouts that were searching for him. However, he endured it. If he was exposed, he would definitely die a horrible death. Perhaps Great Emperor Candleheaven would come back soon. He didn't even dare to fly in the void. Everyone at the East Featherland was mobilized. He would be discovered easily if he did. He didn't dare to take the godboat either. He had to walk on his own. It was safe. Nobody could sense him in advance unless there was a great emperor nearby. In just half a month, this matter had spread throughout the entire 3rd heavenly layer. This matter had also caused a huge shock. A mysterious, powerful warrior killed more than 10,000 warriors of the Zhu family and 21 patriarchs of the Zhu family. 2 of them were quasi-emperors. The 10,000 warriors didn't matter to the Zhu family. Those low-level warriors were nothing to the Zhu family. What mattered most were the lords and the 2 quasi-emperors. Even the Zhu family could not afford such a loss. No wonder Emperor Candle Heaven could not sit still. He left the southern battlefront and teleported back to the East Featherland. The southern battlefront was in a mess. Many Great Emperor sent a petition to the northern battlefront, asking Immortal Tianzue to take charge. The impact was too bad. The third heaven was already in a state of panic. Now such a thing happened. If it was done by humans, who would fight in the future? Emperor Candle Heaven was fighting a bloody battle at the front line, but was attacked from behind. This was too much. Immortal Tianzue was furious. He mobilized 3 or 4 Great Emperor Realm warriors and many scouts to the East Featherland to find the culprit. Once the culprit was found, all the powerful warriors of the third heaven would hunt him down without Immortal Tianzue's order. Unfortunately, Lu Li had the trace of Great Tao, which gave him amazing senses. Not even the best scouts could find him. After all, he did not leave any clues. He had cultivated a secret technique that the heavenly sacred ancestor had imparted to him. With his aura concealed, no one could track him down. The entire East Featherland was looking for Lu Li, but nobody could find him. Great Emperor Candle Heaven even went to the Peach Source Mountain to check it out, but he didn't find anything. Soon, more than a month had passed. Lu Li had been traveling day and night. He was at sea now. Even when they were out in the sea, Lu Li didn't dare to fly openly. He kept flying close to the surface of the sea. Although his personality had changed drastically, he had not lost his rationality. If he was found now, Great Emperor Candle Heaven would come after him immediately. Most importantly, Great Emperor Candle Heaven would slaughter the entire Lu family. Billions of people searched for more than a month, but the main culprit was not caught. However, they did find a few old devils. A few overlords personally took action and brought those old devils to Candle Sovereign City. After a round of interrogation, they confirmed that these old devils were not the culprits. 3 months had passed. Lu Li had arrived at the Asmodean puppet at the Flying Fire Continent. 3 months without finding the culprit. He had to let it go. He couldn't keep searching, could he? Mobilizing so many people would be a waste of money. The Candle Sky Monarch was extremely furious, but he could only swallow the bitter pill in silence. He had to go back to the Southern Theater of Operations. If the Southern Theater of Operations was conquered, he would become a sinner. In the Flying Cloud City, Immortal Ziyun reported the information to Immortal Tianzue. Immortal Ziyun said there was no result and asked Immortal Tianzue to tell him if he should continue the search. No need. Immortal Tianzue shook his head and said, I have an idea who did it. Immortal Ziyun raised his eyebrows. He thought about it and said, You mean Lu Li? It should be him. Immortal Tianzue nodded and said, 2 Emperor Realm warriors and so many lords. Only a Great Emperor Realm warrior can kill them so cleanly and not a single one escaped. Now, most of the Great Emperor Realm warriors have come out. Only a few old warriors living in seclusion are still alive. They have no quarrel with Candle Heaven, and they don't want to do these things. No matter how I think about it, it can only be Lu Li. Lu Li did such a cruel thing. A glint of coldness rose in Immortal Ziyun's eyes. Master, has he been completely demonized? Has he become a lackey of the abyss of demons? Maybe. Immortal Tianzue's confidence was shaken. He sighed and said, The 2 old guys from the abyss of demons are resourceful. Lu Li is trapped in a den of demons. It is not surprising that he has been completely demonized. Then can our Savior's words be trusted? Immortal Ziyun was worried. He sighed and said, We are powerless now. At this rate, we will be wiped out sooner or later. Master, if the third heaven is in danger, do you think our Savior will come out to clean up the mess? I don't know. Immortal Tianzue shook his head and said, Our Savior has not shown himself for so many years. It has been tens of thousands of years. Who knows if he is still alive? The third heaven is already in such a state. If he wanted to come out, he would have done so a long time ago. As the most powerful warrior of the human race, we must shoulder the heavy responsibility of protecting the human race. Therefore, I'm not sure. Immortal Ziyun said nothing. Logically speaking, the northern plains have been occupied by the abyss of demons, and the flying fire continent. So many humans had died at the chilly winter continent and the wind continent. As the most powerful warrior of the human race, how could he be so cold-blooded as to sit back and do nothing? If it were a civil war, then it would be fine. But alien races were invading. All humans should be united against a common enemy. That mysterious, powerful warrior gave immortal Tianzuwei and immortal Ziyun an unfathomable feeling. There was no doubt that he was a saint emperor. If he came out and teamed up with immortal Tianzuwei, they would have a great chance to suppress the Abyss Army. They would be able to kill the Abyss Army and drive the Abyss experts back to the Abyss. The problem was that 60,000 years had passed. No one knew if that person was dead or not. The third heaven could be said to be huge, but it could also be said to be small. There were only so many places that could be hidden from the world. The two couldn't figure out where that mysterious expert was hiding. By the way, is there any news from that kid, Xiaoyao? Immortal Tianzuwei thought of something and asked. Emperor Xiaoyao had been gone for such a long time, and there was no news from him. Some of the people who went with him had already returned. The rest were all dead. Emperor Xiaoyao seemed to have disappeared and never appeared. No. Immortal Ziyun's expression turned grave. He pursed his lips and said, I guess he is in danger. After all, it has been such a long time. Even if he is seriously injured, there should be news from him. Sigh. Chapter 2940. Luli was received by Sacred Ancestor Tian as soon as he returned to the demonic puppet. Sacred Ancestor Tian praised Luli and granted him 30 chances to enter the sacred pond. 30 chances to enter the sacred pond. This kind of reward was very great. This made many demon sovereigns very jealous. Sacred Ancestor Tian also gave Luli a chance to cultivate in the divine Abyss Lake. Heaven Lake. Luli was confused. He asked, Sacred Forefather Tian, where is the Heaven Pond? What's so special about it? The eyes of the nearby devil sovereigns turned even redder with jealousy. One of them said, Divine Ancestor Tian, we've fought for the sacred abyss for many years, but we still haven't gotten the chance to enter the heavenly lake. The Asmodean Lord enjoyed a high status in the Asmodean Abyss. The Asmodean Abyss was a place that paid particular attention to hierarchy. Usually, nobody dared to question the Asmodean Lord's words. But now, Luli had contradicted the Asmodean Lord in public. It was clear how much the Asmodean Lord had rewarded Luli. One of the demon lords glanced at Luli and explained, The Heaven Lake is the most precious place in the sacred abyss. It is the place where the people of the sacred abyss are born. A day in the Heaven Lake is equivalent to 100 years of cultivation for us. Divine Ancestor Tian nodded slightly, then glanced at the group of demon lords and said, I have my reasons for doing things, so don't be noisy. Gonli, do you want to go? As soon as Sacred Ancestor Tian finished speaking, the entire crowd fell silent. No one dared to say a word when he was angry. Luli thought about it. According to what they said, the Heaven Pond must be in the abyss of demons. A human going to the demonic abyss? Although he could increase his battle prowess, going to a foreign land filled with foreign tribes made him feel very uneasy. However, at this moment his main soul was silent, and the rest of his soul had been demonized. His heart yearned for great power. This Heaven Lake was a place where even ordinary demon lords would not have the chance to enter. It was definitely a supreme treasure ground. If he could cultivate there for a period of time, his battle prowess might soar. Sacred Ancestor Tian was being very nice to Luli. He did not force Luli to do anything. Instead, he was asking for Luli's permission. Sacred Ancestor Tian was being too nice. Many Asmodeans were green with envy. One of the Asmodeans was angered by Luli's hesitation. Gonli, what are you waiting for? This is a heaven-sent opportunity. Saint Ancestor Tian is so kind to you. How can you not appreciate it? Do you want to die? The other Asmodeans glared at Luli as well. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Luli made up his mind and said, Thank you, Sacred Ancestor Tian. I'm willing to go. If I succeed, I will serve Sacred Ancestor Tian to the death. In the end, Luli decided to go to the Heaven Pool for two reasons. For one, he was afraid of sacred ancestor Tion and didn't dare to disobey him. Secondly, he also wanted to obtain more power. If there was a demonic nature in his body, his desire for power would be very strong. On the other hand, he didn't want to stay here anymore. He was afraid that if he was sent to the front line by divine ancestor Tion to fight the humans, the Lu family would be in danger. All right, Saint Ancestor Tion waved his hand and said, "You can return to the Saint Devil Puppet first. This seat will arrange everything. When the time comes, I will get Qian Dagger to bring you there. You can follow him with peace of mind." "Thank you, Sacred Ancestor Tion." Luli bowed and left. As soon as Luli left, the hall was in an uproar. Many Asmodeans were indignant. Just now, when Luli was here, it was as if he was an outsider. They could not say much, but now they could not hold it in anymore. "Shut up." Sacred Ancestor Tion pulled a long face and shouted. The hall quieted down. A warrior at the peak of the Asmodean Lord cupped his fists and said, "Sacred Ancestor Tion, please reconsider. The Heaven Pool was indeed a sacred place for nurturing the abyss of demons, the most treasured place in the abyss of demons. Usually, only the Asmodean lords had the right to cultivate there. Occasionally, some powerful Asmodeans would be granted a chance to go in as well." Who was Luli? He was a human bastard and a warrior that had just reached the Demon Emperor realm not long ago. Many Asmodeans in the abyss of demons were more powerful than him. The Asmodeans could not understand why Sacred Ancestor Tion would grant Luli the chance to go to the Heaven Pool. They were angry. If it were anything else, the Asmodeans would not have said so much. But the fact that Luli could go to the Heaven Pool was something they were unhappy about. They had shed blood and sweat for the sake of the abyss of demons. Many Asmodeans had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and never had the chance to go there. Now Luli had the chance. How could the Asmodeans be convinced? Sacred Ancestor Tion waved his hand. The hall quieted down. He said after some thoughts, "This time, I will not only send Luli there, but also Qi Tianyu. They will go to the Heaven Pool to cultivate." What? Another uproar broke out in the hall. It was one thing to send a human. Qi Tianyu was a human after all. He had taken over the body of an Asmodean, but he was still a human. For the abyss of demons, he was an alien race. Recently, Qi Tianyu could barely compete with the Asmodeans. For the Asmodeans here, he was far from enough. "Do you know?" Sacred Ancestor Tion's gaze swept over everyone present, his voice becoming low as he said, 2 to 3 million years ago, our sacred abyss once launched a large-scale attack on a Middle King realm. At that time, our sacred abyss experts were as numerous as the clouds in the sky, and there were no less than 100 sacred ancestors. We launched an all-out attack, but in the end, we were defeated on the verge of victory. All the Asmodeans knew about this. That was a disgrace to the abyss of demons. Therefore, even though the abyss of demons had not recovered, they had come to attack the third heaven with determination. Things are going well. There was hope that they could wipe away the shame and conquer the third heaven. Sacred Ancestor Tion continued, "We may have been successful, but the Central King universes are full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Nobody knows what other powerful warriors they have. Do you know that when all the realms above the fourth heaven collapsed, why did so many powerful warriors not go to the other realms, but to the Central King universes? There are realms that are larger and more fertile than the Central King universes. Do you know that we, the Sacred Abyss, lost so many powerful warriors last time, but we still insist on attacking the Central King universes?" Sacred Ancestor Tion threw out a series of questions that confused the group of Asmodeans. They didn't think about Luli and Qi Tianyu anymore. Instead, they were all guessing what Sacred Ancestor Tion had asked. A Asmodean asked Sacred Ancestor Tion, "Could it be that there are still Saint Emperors from the Central King universes who haven't come out? All the powerful warriors have gathered in the Central King universes. Is there a great secret hidden there?" Sacred Ancestor Tion smiled mysteriously. "There are definitely powerful warriors from the Central King universes who haven't come out yet. They won't come out until the moment of the final battle. That is why our sacred ancestor Yuan and the others haven't come yet. As for why all the powerful warriors have gathered in the Central King universes after the collapse of the fourth heaven, there is indeed a great secret. But I can't tell you this secret. I can only tell you that there is something in the Central King universes that countless powerful warriors, including the Sacred Abyss, want. If we can get our hands on this thing, the Sacred Abyss will truly rise. It will no longer be a dream to rule the universe. There was a great secret hidden in the Central King universes. There was a treasure. With this treasure, the Sacred Abyss would be able to rule the universe. This news stunned the group of Asmodeans. They had always thought that the attack on the Central King universes was to wipe away the shame of the past, expand their territory, and enslave the Central King universes. They didn't know that there was such a deep meaning behind it. Wait a minute. Chapter 2941. Of course it's related. Tion's divine ancestor said, "We want to conquer a Middle King realm, but do we really want to kill all of its people? If we really do that, our sacred abyss will not be far from destruction. With so many humans, we need someone to lead them. Qi Tianyu and Lu Li are the two best candidates for ruling a Middle King realm. If we rule a Middle King realm, there will be constant resistance. By then, there will not be a day of peace for the Middle King realm. If we let Lu Li and Qi Tianyu rule, there won't be so much resistance. They have the ability to suppress it. In addition, we need them to mobilize the people of a Middle King realm to help us find that thing. If they become stronger, they can help us kill human warriors. Also, they are of great use to us, but I can't tell you." Tion's divine ancestor explained a lot. The demon lords could understand some of it, but not others. One demon lord asked, "If we can't kill all the people of a Middle King realm, then our sacred abyss will not be far from destruction?" Tion's divine ancestor, "What is this? Why don't I understand?" The demonic abyss had killed many humans over the years. The entire northern plains had become the territory of the demonic abyss. All the humans there had either been killed or had become demon slaves. Demon slaves were not normal humans. They were no different from the Walking Dead. The demonic abyss had killed so many humans. Why couldn't they kill all of them? In this way, the third heaven would become the territory of the demonic abyss. The endless resources here would belong to them. They could move their people here. In tens of thousands of years, this place would become the second demonic abyss. This was a question that not only this demon lord, but all the other demon lords could not understand. Tion's divine ancestor shook his head and said, "You can't know too much about this. I can only tell you one thing. The collapse of a world above the fourth heaven doesn't mean that it will disappear." What Tion's divine ancestor said was contradictory. If the world collapsed, didn't that mean the world had disappeared? No one could figure it out. Tion's divine ancestor didn't explain. He waved his hand and said, "Okay, go back and do your jobs. Don't worry too much about other things. Some things will be revealed to you after we conquer a Middle King realm. If we can't defeat the Middle King realms, it's useless to say anything." All of the devil sovereigns left with a belly full of questions. There were many things they couldn't figure out, but they all knew that the sacred ancestors were definitely playing a very big game of chess. Most importantly, this world was far from as simple as it seemed. Lu Li teleported back to the holy magic puppet. The first thing he did was to find Qian Dagger and enter the holy pond. This time, Qian Dagger received the order. He didn't stop Lu Li. He sent Lu Li to the sacred pond directly. Lu Li could stay in there for 3 days. Jumping into the holy pond, Lu Li felt comfortable as if he was a fish back in the sea. After the divine Qi entered his body, both his body and soul felt extremely comfortable. He didn't feel any pain like he did the first time he entered. He felt that he would never be able to leave the holy pool for the rest of his life. The holy Qi was like a drug, addictive and spiritually dependent. Lu Li felt he would die if he left the holy aura. He would do anything to get into the holy pond. Lu Li soaked in the holy pond for 3 days. Once again, there was more holy Qi in his body. He felt extremely comfortable. He went back to his castle in a good mood and spent all day with the 12 ladies of the heavenly demon race. The human race had quieted down recently. What could they do without finding the culprit? They couldn't keep looking, could they? Even though there were still people who suspected Lu Li, they didn't have any evidence. Nobody dared to talk about it. Immortal Tianzue had been siding with Lu Li. If they went to the Lu family without any evidence, they would incur Immortal Tianzue's wrath. The abyss of demons would attack once every half a month. The attack looked more like a drill for an army. There was no force behind it. What the hell was the abyss of demons doing? Now that Emperor Unfettered was missing, Immortal Tianzue could only defend by himself. He didn't dare to fight back. The situation was in a stalemate. Now, the human race felt they had lost the initiative. Emperor Unfettered used to be a sharp knife. Now that the knife was missing, the human race could only take the beating and could not fight back. Soon, half a month passed by. Lu Li was called out. Qian Dagger was ready. Lu Li could teleport to the abyss of demons. Lu Li was a bit nervous because he was going to the abyss of demons, which was the base camp of the abyss of demons. Lu Li followed Qian Dagger to a hall. Unexpectedly, he saw Qi Tianyu here. Lu Li could not hide the killing intent in his eyes. Now that he had been demonized, he could not hide his feelings. Qi Tianyu was his sworn enemy. Lu Li knew that if he had the chance, Qi Tianyu would try his best to kill Lu Li. This time, you two can go to the heavenly lake of Sacred Abyss. This is a gift from the divine ancestors and a sign that they value you. Divine Ancestor Tian said that you must listen to me when you go to the Sacred Abyss. If you dare to do anything, I have the right to kill you right away. Qian Dagger was powerful. He might be as powerful as Emperor Burning Heaven and Emperor Unfettered. It would be a piece of cake for him to deal with Lu Li and Qi Tianyu. Lu Li knew he had to bow down. He cupped his fists and said, yes. Qi Tianyu smiled and said, Lord Qian, I have been in the Sacred Abyss for so many years. Have I ever done anything reckless? Qian Dagger nodded. Even though Qi Tianyu was the disciple of another divine ancestor, he had never done anything reckless because of his identity. Qian Dagger glanced at Lu Li and said, because you are a human, you may be mocked and looked down upon when you go to the Sacred Abyss. I hope you can tolerate it. Otherwise, you will be the one to suffer. Do you understand? Qi Tianyu smiled. In the past, he had been bullied and humiliated many times. He had endured the humiliation for so many years. Finally, he had seen the light of day. After he became the disciple of the divine ancestor, even though a group of demon lords didn't like him, they didn't bother him anymore. Now, Lu Li was a new Emperor Realm warrior and a human who had just surrendered. Then he was granted entry to the heavenly lake. If this news reached the demonic abyss, everyone would be in an uproar. Lu Li's expression changed slightly. He was originally a rebellious person. Now that he had been demonized, his murderous aura became even stronger and his temper became even more violent. He was afraid that something bad would happen to him when he went to the demonic abyss. He thought about it and said, my personality is that if others don't provoke me, I won't provoke others. If others bully and humiliate me, I will definitely fight back. Otherwise, I would rather die. Qian Dagger's expression darkened. He snorted and said, then do whatever you want. Anyway, I have already told you. If you die in the Sacred Abyss, then don't blame me. Let's go. Follow me to the space tunnel. I will take you to the Sacred Abyss. Qian Dagger brought the two of them forward quickly. They passed through layers of guarded castles and dozens of halls before finally arriving at a castle. Chapter 2942. The passageway to the Abyss of Demons was spacious. Lu Li entered a hall with a width of 3 miles. There were many teleportation formations in the hall, hundreds of them. At the end of the hall was a dark hole, like the mouth of a huge beast. It was quite a frightening sight. There were 4 demon sovereigns guarding the passageway. These 4 demon sovereigns were all very old. It was clear that they were demon sovereigns who were about to die. They were here to guard the passageway. Lu Li remembered that Emperor of Freedom had tried many times to destroy the entrance, but to no avail. Now that Luli had walked around, he understood why he had failed. It was impossible to get in without alerting anyone. Not only were there armies and powerful warriors guarding the halls, but there were also rune formations. Unless they attacked by force, there was no other way to get in. To attack by force, it was almost impossible to rely on one or two Asmodeans. Not even Emperor of Freedom and Heaven Torch could do it together. If Immortal Tianzue were here, then it was possible that he could take it down. The problem was that the Asmodeans would not sit around and do nothing. Before Immortal Tianzue could take it down, the two Asmodeans would be teleported over. Qian Dagger took out a token. It was the token of Immortal Tianzue. As soon as the token appeared, the four Asmodeans guarding the entrance moved to the side. Qian Dagger waved his hand and led the two into the tunnel. As soon as Luli stepped into the tunnel, he felt the world was spinning as if he was going through a tunnel of time and space. He could not tell how long it had been. Was it a month or two or a month? Luli was a bit confused. He was spinning around so much that he couldn't tell north from south, east from west, and he couldn't tell the time. The teleportation was not harmful to his soul. Luli felt his soul was not affected. Of course, if it was, then the average warriors in the abyss of demons could not be teleported over. Luli opened his eyes when he felt he had landed on the ground. He was in a hall. This hall was as big as the one before, and there were many teleportation formations as well. Clearly, the teleportation formations were used to transport armies. Otherwise, how could so many armies be mobilized to the third heaven? With so many teleportation formations running continuously, it would be faster to mobilize the armies. Similarly, there were also 4 demon sovereigns guarding this place. When Qian Dagger came over, the 4 of them immediately saluted. Qian Dagger's status in the Devil Abyss was quite high. The 4 Asmodeans glanced at Qi Tianyu, but did not pay much attention to him. Coldness rose in their eyes when they saw Luli. One of the Asmodeans snorted and asked, "Human? Lord Qian Dagger, why did you bring human scum to the Sacred Abyss?" "That's right. Human scum actually has the right to set foot in our Sacred Abyss." Another demon sovereign chimed in. A glint of coldness rose in Luli's eyes, but he didn't do anything. Qian Dagger took out a token and explained, "This is an order from Saint Ancestor Tian. If you want to ask questions, go to him." The 4 demon sovereigns snorted and did not speak anymore. Qian Dagger waved his hand and said, "Activate the teleportation array. I want to bring them to the Sacred Mountain." Sacred Mountain? The faces of the 4 demon lords turned cold again. The Sacred Mountain was the center of the demonic abyss, where divine ancestor Yuan lived. Many demon lords were not qualified to enter. This puny human scum actually had the qualifications to go to the Sacred Mountain. Forget about Qi Tianyu, the other human could go to. The demon sovereigns did not understand. Qian Dagger did not explain too much. He just waved the token in his hand. One of the demon sovereigns walked to the side of a teleportation array with dissatisfaction and activated it. Luli suppressed his anger and did not say a word. Even though his personality had changed a lot, he was still rational. This was the base camp of the demonic abyss. If he messed around here, then he would have to stay here forever. He followed Qian Dagger and Qi Tianyu into the teleportation array. This time, the teleportation didn't take too long. Only 2 or 3 days later, he appeared in a mountain. After he came out, he didn't use his psychic power. Instead, he looked around with his eyes. After a few glances, Luli was stunned. In his mind, the demonic abyss must be overflowing with demonic energy, covered by dark clouds, and gloomy like hell. However, he didn't expect that the place he was looking at was very beautiful. The weather was pleasant, the mountains were green, and the rivers were clear. If it wasn't for the fact that there were demonic abyss soldiers nearby, he would have thought that this was the third heaven. The spiritual energy here was very rich. It was 100 times richer than some treasured lands in the third heaven. Maybe it was because this was the sacred mountain of the demonic abyss. The scenery here was beautiful. Luli could see many castles in the distance. The air was ethereal. This place was like a fairyland. They appeared in a plaza. On the plaza, there was a statue of a wise and skinny old man. Judging by his appearance, he looked no different from an old man of the human race. Lord Dagger, Luli couldn't help but ask, why do the powerful warriors of the sacred abyss look similar to us humans? What do you mean similar to you? Dagger sneered and said, the royal family of the demonic abyss has always looked like this. We will only transform when we are in battle. This is not exclusive to you humans. Many races in the great world look like this as well. Don't think too highly of yourself. Luli was surprised. He didn't expect this. The average warriors of the demonic abyss looked like monsters and ferocious creatures. The royal family looked like humans. Things in this world were so strange. The creator was so amazing. Dagger walked toward a huge castle. Tianyu followed him, and Luli hurried to catch up. Right at this moment, some powerful psychic power swept over. Luli activated the trace of Tao and sensed it clearly. There were more than a dozen psychic powers. They should all be demon lords. Maybe some demon lords were investigating, but Luli couldn't sense them. There are many powerful warriors in the demonic abyss. They are much more powerful than the human race. Luli exclaimed to himself. He followed Dagger to a huge castle. There were two human-shaped demon lords guarding outside. They nodded when they saw Dagger. But when they saw Tianyu and Luli, the two demon lords stopped them and said, without the order of the sacred ancestor, they cannot enter. Dagger nodded and waved his hand. Wait here. I will go in and see sacred ancestor Yuan. Dagger went in. Luli and Tianyu stood outside in silence. Tianyu looked at Luli with a smile. After a while, he said, Luli, it is understandable that I went to the demonic abyss. You are the hero of the human race, the idol of countless people, and the rising star of the emperor. I didn't expect you to be as spineless as me. Are you so afraid of death? Luli glanced at Tianyu from the corner of his eyes, but didn't pay attention to him. He was very violent and impulsive now. He was afraid that if he talked too much with Tianyu might kill him. By then, the demon lord would be enraged, and Luli wouldn't be able to escape death. Tianyu thought about it and continued, Luli, bear with it. You have to be a coward here. No matter how others bully you, you can't say a word. Otherwise, you will die. Luli was about to say something to refute when two shadows flew over from the distance. In a flash, they were in front of Luli and Tianyu. The two had strong qi and energy. Their eyes were filled with ferocity. One of them stared at Luli and said with a sneer, Is this the human bastard that surrendered to us recently? He really looks like a coward. A good-for-nothing. Chapter 2943. Luli's personality had never been one to meekly submit to adversity. He wasn't like that in the past, but now that he had been demonized, all the negative emotions in his heart had been stimulated. His personality had changed drastically, and he was no longer a coward who wouldn't fight back. A glint of coldness rose in Luli's eyes when he heard the Asmodean Lord's provocation. He trembled. If it were not for the fact that the Asmodean was here, Luli would have made a move. He couldn't attack the people of the demon abyss while he had the holy qi in his body. If that happened, the holy qi would go berserk and he would explode and die. However, things are different now. His body had been demonized, and his holy qi had been refined. His body was no different from that of a demon abyss soldier. Therefore, he could make a move now. However, this was the devil abyss, this was the sacred mountain. If he dared to make a move here, he would die miserably. Therefore, he pursed his lips and lowered his head, not saying anything. He suppressed his anger and ignored the two demon sovereigns. Ha! Seeing Luli's reaction, the Asmodean Lord burst into laughter and continued to insult him. What a loser. You don't seem to be convinced. If you're not convinced, then why did you surrender? Didn't you humans say that you'd rather die standing than live kneeling? Since you've surrendered, then obediently kneel before me and live. Kneel before me. Crack. Luli clenched his fists so hard that his knuckles were cracking. He closed his eyes and blue veins were popping out on his face. He was shaking even more violently. He He still ignored the devil's sovereign and pretended not to hear anything. This was the Saint Mountain. Would this devil sovereign dare to make a move? Qi Tianyu looked at Lu Li with a sarcastic smile. Back then, he had also gone through the same thing. Not only had he been verbally attacked, but he had also been abused many times by the big shots. There were a few times when he was almost slapped to death. In the end, he endured the humiliation and survived with great difficulty. After he was taken in as a disciple by a demon ancestor, his life became a little better. Now, seeing Lu Li being humiliated by the Asmodean, he was delighted. Torturing Lu Li and making him wish he was dead was what kept him alive in the abyss of demons. Now, that Lu Li was being humiliated, he would have laughed out loud if they were not at the sacred mountain. "Are you deaf?" The demon venerable was not going to let it go. He shouted angrily, "I told you to kneel down. Are you deaf? Kneel or not? If you don't kneel, do you believe that I will skin you alive?" Lu Li opened his eyes and finally couldn't help but reply, "I don't have the habit of kneeling. If you want to skin me, then do it." Qi Tianyu suddenly said, "Lord Qianhong, Qianli is someone that the sacred ancestor Tian values a lot. It's best if you don't touch him." Qi Tianyu looked like he was persuading the demon lord, but it was obvious that he was provoking Qianhong. He wanted Qianhong to fight. Lu Li narrowed his eyes. Qianhong was indeed full of killing intent. Lu Li snorted and said, "Sacred ancestor Tian thinks highly of you? How could divine ancestor Tian value a dog? What a joke. Brat, since you don't want to kneel, then I'll break your legs and make you kneel." Buzz, all of a sudden, a vertical eye appeared on Qianhong's forehead. A ray of dark glare flashed across and disappeared between Lu Li's eyebrows. At the same time, the Asmodean lord's hand turned into sharp claws and reached toward Lu Li. The two of them were so close that Qianhong believed that Lu Li would not be able to react in time. Qianhong was confident in his soul attacks as well. He was too confident in his soul attacks. His dragon soul had reached the 9th rank, and Lu Li's soul was so strong that he knew soul defense skills, the soul-devouring skill. Lu Li was experienced in battles. As soon as the vertical eye appeared between Qianhong's eyebrows, Lu Li realized what was going on. He released the soul-devouring skill at once. At the same time, he generated a sword of soul and began to fight back. At the same time, Lu Li used his dragon transformation. His opponent was trying to scratch him with his claws, but Lu Li was not afraid at all. Soul attacks against soul attacks, claws against claws. Qianhong's soul attacks were not bad, but Lu Li's soul was too strong, and he had a 9th rank enchanted soul. Qianhong's soul attacks were blocked by Lu Li easily. On the other hand, Qianhong could not stand Lu Li's soul attacks. Lu Li's sword of soul was too powerful. Boom! When their claws met, the outcome was completely different. Lu Li's physical body was strong. What was more, he had absorbed some holy energy, which had strengthened his body. The Asmodean lord's physical body was strong, but it could not stand Lu Li's claws. The Asmodean lord's claw was bleeding, and all the bones were broken. All Lu Li's soul attacks worked. Qianhong hugged his head and rolled on the ground in pain. The other Asmodean lord flew into a rage. Asmodean energy spread out from him. He was about to release a powerful attack. "Stop!" a girl shouted. From a distance came a figure in red. A surge of horrifying energy spread out. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on Lu Li. Even Lu Li found it difficult to breathe. With a gust of fragrance, a pretty figure in red landed in front of Lu Li. Lu Li glanced over and saw that it was a gorgeous lady. She had an elegant temperament and a strong aura. She was like a queen standing high above the masses. The Asmodean lord, who was about to take action, shrunk his head. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Lady Jing." A glint of admiration rose in Qi Tianyu's eyes, but he hid it soon. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Lady Jing." "He is very young." Lu Li took back his sword of soul. He sensed that the lady from the Asmodean abyss was young, but she was more powerful than him. How could there be such a talent in the Asmodean abyss? Lady Jing swept her gaze across the crowd with a cold expression. She swept her gaze across the crowd and said coldly, This is the holy mountain. You actually dare to fight here. Are you all tired of living? When sacred ancestor Yuan is angry, you will all die without a burial place. Luli said nothing, but Qianhong said angrily, Lady Jing, this human bastard dares to fight at the holy mountain and hurt me. Please, Lady Jing, help me. Bang! Lady Jing's hand suddenly swept across, causing Qianhong to feel pain on his face. He felt as though he had been hit by a heavy blow. He was sent tumbling a few hundred zhang away. His entire face was swollen from the slap. Qianhong stood up. He felt wronged, but he didn't dare to say anything. Lady Jing said coldly, He is a human. He doesn't know the rules. You have lived in the sacred abyss for so many years. Don't you know the rules? He is a surrendered human. It is his first time coming to the holy mountain. How dare he make the first move? Do you think I am an idiot? Get out of the mountain. Qianhong and the other demon lord didn't dare to say a word when Miss Jing was angry. They immediately flew away and disappeared without a trace like a cat that had seen a mouse. Lady Jing glanced at Luli coldly and said, This is the sacred abyss, not your king world. You have to follow our rules here. If you dare to mess around again, you will lose your life. Luli bowed slightly, but said nothing. With that said, Lady Jing walked in strides. Looking at her back, Luli's eyes were burning with passion. This was his instinct after being demonized. His desire for beautiful women had increased. Chapter 29:44. Lady Jing had left, but Luli was still staring at her perky butt. He was recalling it in his mind, and his eyes were filled with a strange glow. Qi Tianyu looked at Luli and said with a cold smile, Luli, I advise you not to go after Lady Jing. She is not only special, but she is also the most talented warrior in the history of the Abyss. She is the goddess to many powerful warriors. Over the years, many powerful warriors of the Abyss have had their eyes on her. Some even tried to force her, but they all died without a burial place. Hearing Qi Tianyu's words, Luli grinned and ignored him. He had an idea in his mind, which was to win over the #1 goddess of the Abyss. Not only would he have a sense of achievement, but his status in the Abyss would rise as well. Nobody would dare to mess with him anymore. They waited here for the whole morning. Finally, Qian Dagger came out in the afternoon. He didn't take them into the castle. Instead, he took them to another castle nearby. Qianli Qian Tianyu. Qian Dagger said, I went to see sacred ancestor Yuan, but he didn't agree to let you into the Heaven Lake. Luli didn't show much reaction, but Qi Tianyu was nervous. He asked, Lord Qian Dagger, why? Didn't sacred ancestor Tian agree to let us in? Why didn't sacred ancestor Yuan say yes? Sacred ancestor Yuan was the most powerful warrior in the Abyss, but sacred ancestor Tian was at the same level as sacred ancestor Yuan, one of the most powerful warriors in the Abyss. Theoretically speaking, sacred ancestor Yuan would not object to something that sacred ancestor Tian agreed to. Otherwise, it would be a slap on sacred ancestor Tian's face. How could sacred ancestor Tian maintain his dignity in the future? Sacred ancestor Yuan is in a difficult position as well. Qian Dagger sighed slightly and said, The Heaven Lake is my race's supreme sacred land. Ordinary demon lords don't even have the qualifications to enter. The two of you are, after all, outsiders, and you haven't made any truly great contributions. If the two of you were to destroy Zhu Tian, no one would say anything. Sacred ancestor Tian sent a message to us before this, and it has caused a lot of dissatisfaction in our race. Otherwise, how could any demon lords come and make trouble at the holy mountain? Sacred ancestor Yuan also considered this, so he temporarily suppressed it. He can't affect the unity of the entire tribe because of the two of you. Luli curled his lips. He was unhappy. If they're not allowed to go in, then what was the point of asking them to come to the Abyss? Wasn't this toying with them? Qi Tianyu said unwillingly. Is there no other way? Lord Qian Dagger. Yes. Qian Dagger said with a straight face, but it depends on whether you have the guts or not. Divine ancestor Yuan gave all of you a chance, and he also gave all the younger generations of the race a chance. He let all of you compete together. Whoever can get into the top 10 will be given the opportunity to enter the Heaven Lake to cultivate for 10 years. All right. Qi Tianyu's eyes lit up and he said without hesitation, I will participate. Any competition is fine. I must enter the Heaven Lake to cultivate. Although Qi Tianyu looked like a human, he had actually used a secret technique to change his appearance. His body was actually the body of a dead royal disciple in the demon abyss. In other words, he could never become a human again. He could only live in the demon abyss for the rest of his life. Even though he was the apprentice of a sacred ancestor, he knew that the powerful warriors in the demon abyss looked down on him. Therefore, he had to become stronger. Previously, he thought of a shortcut, which was to devour the remains of the Saint King's corpse and absorb the powerful energy inside. However, the Saint King's corpse was hidden well, and there were many traps inside. After he devoured it twice, he almost died inside. But his strength had improved quite well. He was already stronger than the average demon lords. But he felt that it was far from enough. He had an ambition in his heart, which was to become the most powerful warrior in the demon abyss. He wanted to rule the entire demon abyss and then the whole king realm. That way, he could return to his hometown in glory. He could also make the Qi family stronger and become the supreme ruler of 2 realms. Even though he had surrendered to the demon abyss, he could never become a pure human again. Even though the Qi family did not treat him well in the past, deep in his soul, he still felt that he was a disciple of the Qi family. When the reincarnation emperor passed away, he hid himself and cried bitterly. Therefore, he yearned for power. The Heaven Pond was the most valuable place in the demon abyss. Cultivating in there for 10 years could be compared to cultivating outside for 1,000 years. More importantly, after being baptized in the Heaven Pond, he could truly transform and have the hope to become the most powerful warrior in the demon abyss. Luli said nothing. Qian Dagger looked over and asked, Qianli, you don't want to go to the Heaven Pond? You don't want to participate in the competition? To be honest, Luli didn't want to. His desire to go to the Heaven Pond was stronger than Qi Tianyu's. More importantly, he felt that he would be in great danger if he participated in the competition. Qi Tianyu, on the other hand, would not be so dangerous. Luli would become the target of many powerful demon lords. Luli thought about it and asked, Lord Qian Dagger, what kind of competition is it? It's very simple. Qian Dagger explained, there's a strange place in the sacred abyss called the Saint Dragon Mountain. All the participants will depart from the foot of the mountain. The first 10 that can reach the peak of the Saint Dragon Mountain will have the opportunity to cultivate in the Heaven Pond. Saint Dragon Mountain? Qi Tianyu's expression changed. He had clearly heard of this place. Luli looked at Qi Tianyu's expression and asked with a frown, Is the Saint Dragon Mountain dangerous? Qian Dagger nodded and said, That is the most dangerous place in the sacred abyss. Even I don't dare to wander around in there. I can't reach the peak of the main peak either. Only divine ancestors can reach the peak of the main peak. Luli was surprised. Qian Dagger was a powerful warrior that could be compared to Emperor Candleheaven. How come he couldn't reach the peak of a mountain? Luckily, they weren't asked to climb the main peak. It was just to climb the secondary peak. It wouldn't be so difficult. Luli didn't care about the danger of the mountain. He asked, Lord Qian Dagger, I want to ask if we can use force in the Saint Dragon Mountain. Will there be a situation where a group of demon lords will attack one person? Of course, we can use force, Qian Dagger said with certainty, but you don't have to worry. There won't be a situation where a group of demon lords will attack you, because all the participants will be separated. The more demon lords there are, the more dangerous it will be. Also, Divine Ancestor Yuan has said that you can mess around in there, but you can't fight to the death. If anyone dares to disobey this, not only will they be disqualified, but they will also be locked up in the holy prison for 100,000 years. So, you can rest assured, even if you can't win, you won't die. After Qi Tianyu heard the rules, his eyes lit up. All the participants this time were of the younger generation. Even though there were some monsters among the younger generation, Divine Ancestor Yuan had said that 10 people could enter the Heaven Pond this time. Qi Tianyu had a great chance. Luli thought for a moment and nodded. Then I will participate as well. I won't die anyway. At worst, I'll be beaten up. Chapter 2945. The Sacred Mountain was the most treasured place in the Sacred Abyss, while the Sacred Dragon Mountain was the most dangerous place in the Sacred Abyss. The two mountains were not too far apart. They stood in the center of the Sacred Abyss like two pillars that supported the heavens. The Sacred Dragon Mountain was very tall and precipitous. The entire mountain covered an area of tens of thousands of miles and was thousands of miles high. It towered into the clouds. One could only see the middle part of the mountain. Not only the top, but the entire mountain was covered in white mist. It was faintly discernible, and danger lurked in every corner. It was as if there were many powerful beasts lying in ambush, ready to fly out at any time to swallow people alive. Today, the foot of the Sacred Dragon Mountain was very lively. Countless troops had come and surrounded the foot of the mountain. There was a piece of flat land in the southern region of the Sacred Dragon Mountain. Many people had come. That's right, they were all humanoid demon abyss royalty. There were many of them, thousands of them. These royalty were all humanoid, but that did not mean they were very powerful. Some were not even as powerful as the demon masters. Many were very young and had clearly come to watch the show. There were many royals in the demon abyss. There were millions of them. The thousands of royals here were all noble children. The royals were naturally more talented than ordinary demon abyss people. Plus, they had top resources, so they had always dominated the demon abyss. The strongest in the demon abyss had always been the royals. Although ordinary demon abyss people had also cultivated to become demon supremes, they were very few. There had never been a demon ancestor. Today, so many royals had gathered here because Divine Ancestor Yuan was holding a competition. The winner would get the chance to enter the Heavenly Pool. The Heavenly Pool was the birthplace of the demon abyss people. It was also the most treasured place in the demon abyss. It was the place that countless demon abyss people yearned for the most. Under normal circumstances, the demon abyss people basically had no hope of entering the Heavenly Pool. Even the royals rarely had the chance to enter. Over the years, the war with the third heaven humans had caused too many experts to die. That was why the number of people entering the Heavenly Pool had increased. However, there were still pitifully few experts who could enter every year. What they couldn't get was the best. Therefore, entering the Heavenly Pool to cultivate had always been the most desired thing for the royals and demon abyss people. Now that 10 spots have been released, this naturally caused a great commotion. Most importantly, there were 2 surrendered generals from the human race participating in this competition, which attracted more people from the royal family to sign up and watch. However, Divine Ancestor Yuan had set an age limit. Only those who were under 10,000 years old were eligible to participate. Moreover, the weakest among them was a late-stage demon master. Therefore, there were not many participants. There were only about 300 demon abyss experts. Among the 300 or so demon abyss experts, there were only 20 or so demon sovereigns, and all of them were royalty. In the eyes of many citizens of the demon abyss, this competition was actually a competition between the 26 members of the royal family. The demon masters were just there to join in the fun. The difference in strength between the demon masters and the demon lords was too great. They were not on the same level at all. Of course, there were also demon masters who refused to give up, because this time, it wasn't a competition of battle prowess, but a competition of who could ascend the mountain first. Sacred Ancestor Yuan didn't care about one's combat strength. As long as one was in the top 10, they could enter the sky pool to cultivate. Some demon masters might not be considered strong in battle, but they had some strange mystical abilities. They all wanted to try their luck. There was another point. This time, there were 2 surrendered humans. Many demon masters wanted to create some trouble for them, so that 2 more members of the royal family could advance to the next level. If they could torture Qi Tianyu and Lu Li, it would be quite a pleasant thing. Even though Qi Tianyu was guarded by Sacred Ancestor as a disciple, Many members of the royal family of the Demon Abyss were not convinced. Normally, they wouldn't dare to touch him. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could they let it go? As for Lu Li, there was no need to even mention him. Originally, this competition was triggered by sacred ancestor Yuan giving the two a chance to enter the sky pool to cultivate. Sacred ancestor Yuan gave everyone a fair chance to compete. Naturally, all the young powerhouses of the royal family would not miss this opportunity. Therefore, when Qian Dagger brought Lu Li and Qi Tianyu over, both of them felt that something was wrong. Thousands of members of the royal family of the Demon Abyss were looking at them unfriendly. Many of them had murderous intent in their eyes. They didn't even try to hide it. When Lu Li saw the hundreds of contestants, his face darkened. It seemed that not only would it be difficult to enter the sky pool, but they would also have to endure humiliation and pain. Of the 26 members of the royal family, most of them were strong. Some of them were not weaker than Qian Dagger. Sacred ancestor Yuan set the limit to be under 10,000 years old, which was unfair to Lu Li and Qi Tianyu. They had cultivated for less than 1,000 years, while the 26 members of the royal family were generally over 6,000 to 7,000 years old. Lady Jing, Lu Li saw a beautiful figure. Lady Jing would always be the center of attention no matter where she went. Even though there were many beautiful women from the Demon Abyss, Lady Jing's noble and elegant temperament was unique. 8 or 9 demon lords are all more powerful than me. Lu Li tried to sense and complained to himself. There were only 10 spots, but there were 8 or 9 demon lords who were more powerful than him. More importantly, he knew nothing about the Sacred Dragon Mountain. These demon lords must have climbed the Sacred Dragon Mountain before, which meant that the starting line was different. Forget it. Lu Li thought about it and shook his head. If he could not win, then so be it. He didn't know much about the sky pool, and he wasn't eager to cultivate there. Later, he would slowly go up the mountain and let Qi Tianyu take the lead. The demon lords would go after Qi Tianyu. Strength without desire. Since Lu Li had made up his mind, he didn't mind. He glanced over the young generation of the royal family warriors from the Demon Abyss. His nonchalant attitude made more powerful warriors from the Demon Abyss unhappy. If their identities were reversed, a powerful warrior from the Demon Abyss who surrendered to the human race could show up at the Flying Cloud City and then stand there and look at the human warriors like a boss. The powerful warriors in the Flying Cloud City would explode. Those with a bad temper would just kill the surrendered warrior from the Demon Abyss without a second thought. Fortunately, Sacred Ancestor had absolute control and prestige in the Demon Abyss. Sacred Ancestor might be able to disobey him on small matters, but not on big matters. Many powerful warriors from the Demon Abyss wished they could chop Lu Li into pieces, but none of them dared to do anything. Since they didn't dare to do anything, Lu Li had nothing to worry about. He knew the rules of survival in the Demon Abyss very well. One cannot survive by being groveled to. One must rely on absolute strength. Without strength, one could not even kneel to the powerful warriors from the Demon Abyss. Time moved on. An hour later, 3 powerful warriors from the Demon Abyss arrived. The competition had officially begun. An old warrior from the Demon Abyss glanced over to Lu Li and the others and said, "You know the rules. I will repeat it again. Do not be heavy-handed. If someone dies, you will be sentenced to 100,000 years in the holy prison. No one can plead for mercy. All the people in the competition, no matter what you do, as long as you can climb up the mountain as soon as possible, the top 10 will have the chance to cultivate in the sky pool for 10 years. Now, I announce the star of the competition. Go up the mountain." Just as the old man finished speaking, the experts from the Devil Abyss immediately flocked towards the Sacred Dragon Mountain. Qi Tianyu also quickly rushed over, but no one flew. They all rushed towards the Sacred Dragon Mountain on their feet. Chapter 2946. When almost everyone had gone in, Lu Li walked toward the mountain slowly. At the foot of the mountain, he noticed that Lord Jing didn't go up either. Lord Jing was also walking toward the foot of the mountain. The hundreds of warriors ahead of him had gone into the mountain and vanished. The mist here clearly could block psychic power. Otherwise, they would have entered another small world. The Holy Dragon Mountain was a world of its own. Luli knew nothing about the Holy Dragon Mountain, and nobody would explain it to him. Luli didn't mind. He would go if he could, and it didn't matter if he couldn't. Seeing that Lord Jing didn't go in, Luli slowed down again. When Lord Jing disappeared into the mist, Luli walked in from another direction. Many royal family members looked at Luli with contempt, seeing how cautious he was. Surrendering human warriors were cowards. He was the last to go in. Was he afraid that some Asmodeans would come after him? But on second thought, since he had surrendered, he must not be a good guy. This human bastard thinks he will be fine after he goes to the end? How naive, right? He has hurt Lord Qianhong as soon as he arrived. Does he think he can get over it? Lord Qianhong's brother, Lord Qiangang, has said that this human will be tortured. I think Lord Qiangang must have made some arrangements. As long as this human goes in, he will be taken down. Ha, ha, ha. Lord Qiangang is one of the pride of our royal family. Now that he has made up his mind, we will have a good show. Not only Lord Qiangang, but Lord Qianlu has also said that he will teach the two humans a lesson. That's Qian Tianyu. Does he think he could become a phoenix after being accepted as a protege of Saint Ancestor Yin? No way. Ha, ha. I'm looking forward to seeing the two humans crawl out. Some royal family members even took out tents, tables, and chairs and sat there leisurely. Others were meditating at the foot of the mountain, waiting for the result. They were at the foot of the mountain. They could not see inside without entering the Holy Dragon Mountain. Luli was right. The mist in the Holy Dragon Mountain could block psychic power, and it was a world of its own. Only powerful warriors of the Holy Ancestor Realm could see what was going on inside. Buzzing, after Luli went in, he saw a white glare and the world changed. The mountain was still the mountain, and the fog was still the fog. But other than the mountain and the fog, he could see nothing else. He could no longer see the outside world, nor could he see the imperial family of the demon abyss. Everything around him was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was not a single person. There was no sign of life. His divine will could only reach a radius of 300 meters. Most importantly, there was a strong gravitational force here. Luli felt like he couldn't even stand up straight. There are also powerful divine runes underground. Luli sensed some movement underground. He did not hurry. Instead, he closed his eyes and used the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. After confirming that there was no one nearby, he sent Blood Fairy out to scout the area. If the runes here could be cracked, then it would be a piece of cake for Luli to get to the peak. Without the restriction of the divine rune array, even if this mountain was millions of miles tall, he would still be able to reach the peak quickly. He sat cross-legged on the ground and waited silently. He believed that this mountain would not be so easy to climb. Otherwise, there would be no meaning to the test. He estimated that it would take at least 1 or 2 months to climb the upper peak. Since that was the case, there was no harm in waiting here for a few days. Time moved on. It was eerily quiet. There was no sound, and no monsters came to attack him. Luli thought it was safe to sit here and wait for the powerful warriors of the abyss to bring him out. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Blood Fairy's voice rang in his ears. Master, there is a very mysterious and powerful formation of heaven and earth here. You could even say it's vast. It's impossible for me to break this god formation with my current strength. Impossible? Luli was a bit disappointed. If so, he did not want to move. He would just wait here until the end of the test. The powerful warriors of the abyss would not be looking for him everywhere. They must be thinking of climbing up and getting a place to enter the heaven pond. But Blood Fairy's tone changed, and she said, I can roughly sense the danger zones here. If you want to go, I can point you in the right direction. Oh, Li's eyes glowed. He didn't want to go, but now he was tempted. Qian Dagger said that this place was full of dangers. Not even Li could make it to the upper peak. If Blood Fairy could sense the danger, then he could go around and go directly to the lower peak. Compared to most Asmodeans, he would have a better chance. The Heaven Pond, the most treasured place in the abyss, was a place that even Qi Tianyu was interested in. Luli wanted to cultivate there as well. After a while, Luli waved his hand and said, Show me the way. Let's go up the mountain. I want to go to the second highest peak here. Okay, master, come with me. Blood Fairy led the way while Luli strode forward. The gravity here was so strong that Luli was slowed down. He was fine when his feet were on the ground. However, as soon as he lifted his feet, he would feel the pressure. Naturally, he could not move fast. Even so, he was moving fast. How high could the mountain be? If he could go straight without any obstacles, he could reach the top in a few days. He was overthinking. First of all, he realized that the mountain was much larger than it looked from the outside. This place must be a world of its own. What was more, Blood Fairy did not lead him in a straight line. Instead, she kept going in circles, which made him dizzy. Sometimes he would go up for a few miles and then go back down again. 2 hours later, Luli felt he had covered about 30 miles. Fortunately, during these 2 hours, he did not run into any powerful warriors from the abyss of demons and was not attacked. Luli said to himself, he hoped that he would not run into any powerful warriors from the abyss of demons and that he could reach the top easily. That would be perfect. Master, there are warriors from the abyss of demons up ahead. Another hour later, Blood Fairy sent a message. Luli decided not to find out what kind of warriors they were. He told Blood Fairy to take a detour. Another 2 hours later, they ran into 7 or 8 warriors from the abyss of demons. Luli took a detour every time. He felt he had climbed for at least 200 miles. Here, the gravity was 10 times stronger. Inevitably, he was slowed down by 10 times. If I keep going up and the gravity keeps increasing, do I have to climb up? Luli complained to himself. If there was a level up ahead that only one person could pass, then it would be like one man holding the pass against 10,000 enemies. One attack from afar would be enough to knock him down. Whatever he wanted, after the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Blood Fairy said, Master, there are no more paths ahead. There is only one path that is safe. There are powerful warriors from the abyss of demons guarding that path. Chapter 29:47. From the very beginning, Luli knew that the Mountain of Dragon would be difficult, and he was prepared. However, the news still weighed heavily on his mind. Clearly, he could not take a detour. Nobody could tell how far he would have to go. Besides, even if he could, there would be obstacles like this one. There might be powerful warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans guarding there. Would he have to take a detour? Even if he could, he would have to encounter powerful warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans. Therefore, he would have to go through the obstacles if he wanted to go up. He had come a long way without encountering any danger, which meant that Blood Fairy was useful. Naturally, he did not want to give up halfway. Luli asked, Blood Fairy, go and take a look. Even if the powerful warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans find you underground, they will not be able to hurt you, right? No, Blood Fairy replied. The demonic sovereigns are able to transform into incorporeal bodies. So, even though there are powerful divine glyphs in the ground, if they attack us, we will still be in danger. But it won't be a big deal. I will check from a distance. If something goes wrong, I will go into the formation. Okay, Luli nodded. Blood Fairy went underground to check. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Luli sensed a surge of energy from above. Clearly, Asmodeans were taking action. Luli was worried. He almost rushed over. Luckily, Blood Fairy said quickly, Master, don't worry. I am fine. A moment later, Blood Fairy went into Luli's body in a blur. She said, there are 5 powerful warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans over there, for Asmodeans and 1 Asmodean Lord. That Asmodean Lord is not particularly strong. He is far weaker than the Asmodean Lord you fought the first time. Heaven? Luli was more confident now. This Asmodean must be at the initial stage of the Asmodean Lord. If so, Luli had no more concerns. He strode up. Slow as he was, his steps were firm. He was only 2 miles away from the level. However, it would take Luli the time for half an incense stick to burn. The gravitational force was so strong that his speed was slowed down. Ha ha ha, here he comes. That human bastard really dares to come up? This is a godsend. I have been waiting for so long. I thought he would not come. Ha ha. Ha. I wonder how he's going to get up. Listen to my command later. Attack together and blast him down. When Luli was 2 miles away from them, the powerful warriors of the Abyss of Demons sensed it. They were overjoyed to see Luli. They had been waiting for a long time for the right person to show up. Even though Luli had defeated an Asmodean lord at the Holy Mountain, and there were only one Asmodean lord and several Asmodean lords here, they were not afraid at all because they had the geographical advantage. The gravity here was too strong, and there were rune formations on both sides. If Luli were to fall to either side, he might be injured or even killed by the rune formations. Luli sensed them as well. This Asmodean lord was not strong, and Luli looked down on the other Asmodean lords. He walked forward step by step, and when he reached the 1,500 feet mark, he released his origin energy battle armor, the dragon wrestling technique, and the heaven armor technique. He knew better than those devil lords and devil sovereigns how powerful the divine rune arrays on both sides were. Attack! The demon's sovereign above roared, and the 4 demon masters immediately released their attacks. 2 demon masters released a large black palm. 1 demon master condensed a mutated beast, and the last demon master condensed a black longsword. However, the demon sovereign did not attack. Instead, he watched coldly from the sidelines. Boom, boom, boom. There were rune formations on both sides of Luli. He could not step back, so he had to face them head-on. His armor of origin energy was strong enough that the 4 demon masters could not break it. It was just that the Asmodean lord's strength made Luli step back. The 4 demon masters were taken aback, but the demon sovereign was not surprised. After all, Luli had injured an Asmodean lord at the Holy Mountain. Luli himself was at the Emperor realm. It would be strange if the demon masters could hurt Luli. However, Luli was pushed back, which was a good sign. As long as Luli could not come up, then the demon sovereign's mission would be accomplished. When Xin Gang and the others went up to the secondary peak, they would come down to deal with Luli. Luli continued to walk upwards, but those demon masters continued to attack him. Luli was pushed back again and again. The demon sovereign never made a move. It was as if he was waiting for Luli to get closer so that he could smash Luli away. Luli did not attack as well. He was waiting for the demon sovereign to make a move as well. He wanted to see how strong this demon sovereign was. What if this demon sovereign was a hidden, powerful warrior? After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Luli realized that the demon sovereign never made a move. Luli made up his mind. A soft sword appeared in his hand. He used the wind soul skill. Soul energy came out in the form of a gentle breeze. In an instant, the breeze reached the demon masters and the demon sovereign and began to attack. The demon masters could not stand it anymore. They hugged their heads and rolled on the ground. They did not turn into phantoms. Their souls could be locked on easily. The demon sovereign was smart. As soon as Luli took out his weapon, he turned into a phantom and his soul was transferred. This demon venerable did not care about those demon masters. Instead, he released his sacred art. His body disappeared from his original spot without a trace. Luli put on a cold smile. He had sensed some movement underground. Clearly, the demon sovereign had gone underground. Buzzing, the ground under Luli began to tremble. Following that, strands of dark air spread out. The dark air quickly formed vines that entangled Luli. Clearly, the Asmodean lord was trying to tie Luli up and then smash him away. Of course, Luli would not let the demon sovereign have his way. Luli sensed that one of the vines was trembling in space. A sort of soul came into being in Luli's mind. He aimed at the demon sovereign's soul and launched a soul attack. The demon sovereign was not strong. When his soul was struck, his original form was revealed. Luli took out the divine chains of order and smashed at the demon sovereign's legs. The Asmodean lord cried out in pain. He was smashed into a mist of blood from the waist down. He was badly injured. Luli kicked at the Asmodean lord's face. With a muffled sound, the Asmodean lord fell to the ground. "You have overestimated yourself," Luli snorted. He walked up in strides. When he was at the top, he lifted his legs and stomped at the demon master's chests. He mobilized his source of energy and punched a bloody hole in the demon master's chests. Bang, 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 bang. Luli kicked all the Asmodeans away, and several of them tumbled down. Luli stopped his soul attack, or else these Asmodeans would die for sure. Luli did not use his full strength, or else the demon masters would have been knocked away for dozens of miles. Once the demon masters touched the formations, they would be in trouble. Time to go. Chapter 29:48. Luli pressed on for half a day. Then he was forced to stop. It was not because there were more Asmodeans blocking his way, but because there were no more paths ahead. He had to take a detour. He did not know how long it would take. When Blood Fairy sensed that the Asmodeans were not particularly strong, Luli stopped. He planned to take the attacks head-on. He had such a strong defense. He did not believe that the average Asmodeans could kill him. If any attack could kill him, then the other Asmodeans wouldn't have to go up. They would all be killed. He had to force his way up because Qian Dagger once said that the Holy Dragon Mountain was dangerous. If there were paths along the way, then it would not be dangerous if gravity was the only factor. So many Asmodeans must have come here often. They must have a clear idea of where it was safe and where it was dangerous. Therefore, according to Luli's calculations, he would have to force his way through the Asmodeans. He told Blood Fairy to go underground to monitor the Asmodeans while he used the Heaven's armor and dragon wrestle. He stepped up. On the 10th step, the ground suddenly trembled. Then, a ray of light shone and the ground began to shake. Luli did not step back. He stopped and waited for the Asmodeans to attack. The ground continued to fluctuate. Then, stone spears pierced out. These stone spears were very sharp, like sharp knives. If it was an ordinary warrior, they would probably be pierced in an instant. Naturally, Luli was not an average warrior. When the stone spears landed on him, it was as if they were stabbing at cold iron. They could not break through Luli's armor of origin energy. Instead, they all cracked. Although the attack wasn't very scary, Luli didn't let his guard down. He continued to move forward. With every step he took, there would be stone spears coming at him. Luli ignored them and sped up a bit. After a dozen steps, Luli felt the ground was shaking again. Then, flames burst out from the ground and engulfed Luli. Luli sensed that the flames were strong. That being said, they could not break through his armor of origin energy. He moved forward steadily. After a dozen steps, the Asmodeans changed again. This time, the entire mountain was shaking. Luli looked up and was taken aback. This was because countless boulders suddenly rolled down from the mountain. These boulders rolled down at an extremely fast speed and were about to hit him. The boulders were glistening. Clearly, there were runes on them. They must be very strong. If Luli was hit by them, he would not die, but he might be smashed down. Luli made a brazen move. He took out his divine chains of order and smashed them at the rolling boulder. He was afraid that if he released his blades of origin energy, he would not be able to crack the boulder. By then, it would be too late. If he used his god's sequence chains, even if he couldn't shatter it, he should be able to sweep the stone to the side, right? Boom, 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 boom. He was worried too much. As the sequence god chains swept over, the giant boulders were all shattered and turned into dust. These boulders were not hard enough to resist the sequence god chain. It should be known that when the demon lord was swept by the sequence god chain, his lower body had turned into a bloody mist. Dozens of stones kept rolling down, and they were all smashed by Luli. After Luli took more than a dozen steps forward, the stones disappeared. At that moment, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky. Luli was speechless. Were the runes here natural or man-made? Qian Dagger said that they were natural, and so did Blood Fairy. But Luli felt that they were man-made. Only the Lord of Asmodeans could climb up to the main peak. If the runes here were built by a powerful warrior from the abyss of Asmodeans, then how powerful must the warrior be? Thunderbolts could not affect Luli. Behind him, there came wind, hail, and water dragons. The attacks from the runes were not particularly strong. Luli managed to make it through. The gust of wind almost blew Luli off. In the end, he released his Dharma form and managed to disperse the gust. Luli made it out of the area covered by the runes. Blood Fairy's observation was accurate. The runes here were not strong. Luli was not harmed. After a moment of rest, Luli pressed on. In less than an hour, he ran into another powerful warrior from the abyss of Asmodeans. This time, it was not a few, but a single demon lord. Furthermore, it was a demon lord with a rather strong aura. That demon lord was surprised to see Luli. He did not expect that Luli could make it here and reach this height so quickly. Luli had thought that the demon lord would attack him. Surprisingly, the demon lord did not do anything. Instead, the demon lord asked with curiosity, "Human, how did you get here? Did a powerful warrior of our race teach you?" This was the first time Luli came to the abyss of Asmodeans and the Holy Dragon Mountain. How could he reach this height so quickly? As far as the demon lord could tell, Luli was not weak, but he was not powerful either. Luli was unfamiliar with this place, and there were powerful warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans blocking his way. Unless he was taught by a powerful warrior, he could not have reached this height so quickly. Since the demon lord did not do anything, Luli was not in the mood to. He shrugged and said, "No powerful warrior taught me." "What? Do you think I should not be here, given my abilities?" "Of course." The demon lord nodded. "I think you are at the middle stage of the demon lord at best. I am at the middle stage of the demon lord, and I am familiar with this place. Nobody dared to stop me along the way, but it is only now that I am here. That is why I am so confused." Luli smiled, but did not answer the demon lord's question directly. He said, "Snakes and rats have their ways. Do you think Lord Chiandagger will teach me? Or will sacred ancestor Yuan see me in a different light?" The honor demon pondered for a moment and nodded. "Since Saint Ancestor Tian allowed you to come to the sacred abyss, it seems that you do have some skills. However, Qiangang and the others are very unhappy with you. Furthermore, they are right in front of you, so the road ahead will not be easy for you. Take care." Luli was surprised. How could a demon lord be so polite to him? She even took the initiative to express goodwill to him. This was an unprecedented thing. Luli could not help but ask, "May I know your name? Also, why are you not attacking me?" The demon lord answered with a smile, "I am Qianlong. Why would I attack you? I have no quarrel with you. You used to be a human, but now that you have come to the sacred abyss, you are one of us. As long as you don't offend me, why would I attack you? What is more, since sacred ancestor Tian thinks so highly of you, you must have a reason. I have great respect for sacred ancestor Tian. Okay, I will leave now. Good luck." Qianlong strode up. Luli did not go after him. He watched Qianlong leave. If he could catch up with Qianlong after being delayed for such a long time down there, then he must be fine. Chapter 2949. Boom, 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 boom. The sounds of explosions were deafening. Phantoms of beasts were hovering in the sky. Streaks of Asmodean chi were coming at Luli. The entire Mount of Dragon was shaking. The horrifying energy was suffocating. This was the second time Luli had been stopped. This time, there were no Asmodeans, only 3 Asmodeans. One of the 3 was strong, and the other 2 were barely passable. The path they had chosen was one that they had to go through. Clearly, they were instructed by a powerful Asmodean to stop Luli. Luli was stopped. The 3 Asmodeans could only attack from afar, not at close range. They were guarding the path. If Luli wanted to go up, he would have to defeat them. The 3 Asmodeans were clever. They kept attacking from a distance and never stopped. Luli released soul attacks, but they hid their souls so that Luli would not have the chance to attack. The gravity here was too strong for Luli to take a step forward. Apart from soul attacks, he only had chains of order, physical attacks, attacks of origin energy, and Dharma manifestation. However, the powerful demon lord above had a very powerful defensive ability. Even the attacks from Luli's Dharma idol were blocked. When Luli released chains of order, the 3 Asmodeans would turn intangible, but they could still attack him continuously. Luli found it difficult to move forward. What was more, the 3 Asmodeans were strong. Luli's armor of origin energy was cracked many times. If it were not for the fact that he had a strong body and the dragon transformation, he would have been seriously injured. Back off. Luli felt weak after using the dragon transformation. He had to step back. After a few miles, Luli stopped the dragon transformation and took a rest. Unexpectedly, two Asmodeans came from behind him. The two Asmodeans' eyes glowed when they saw him. Luli was covered in blood and his face was pale. Without any hesitation, the two Asmodeans at the peak of the Asmodeans roared and charged at Luli. Piss off. Luli was enraged. Killing intent spread out from him. The two Asmodeans wanted to beat him up when he was down. Even a skinny camel was bigger than a horse. Did these two demon masters think that he was easy to bully? After he released his soul attack, the two demon masters immediately fell for it. His body flashed, and he flew over, the origin energy in his hands glowing. He wanted to tear the limbs of the two demon masters apart. As long as he didn't kill them, it didn't matter how he tortured them. Bang! A Asmodean lord's hands and feet were torn off by Luli. Because the Asmodean lord's soul was under constant attack, he could not fight back at all. Luli was so excited that he even tore half of the demon master's body apart. In the end, he suppressed the killing intent in his heart and didn't kill the demon master. He flung the demon master down the mountain and walked toward the other demon master. That demon master was still writhing on the ground. The strong gravity here made it impossible for him to roll. Luli grabbed his arm and was about to tear it apart when he suddenly thought of something. No one could die here. That was why he didn't kill the two demon masters. If so, the Asmodean lord couldn't kill the demon master. Otherwise, he would violate the rules set by great ancestor Yuan and be sentenced to be locked up in the holy prison for 100,000 years. Those who could enter here were all below 10,000 years old. They were the elites of the abyss of demons. Naturally, they didn't want to be locked up for 100,000 years. In other words, they didn't dare to kill this demon master. In other words, he had a very good shield. Having figured out the crux of the matter, Luli put on a smile. He didn't stop the soul attack. Instead, he weakened it so that the demon master's soul could not escape from the attack. He sat cross-legged and rested. After a full 2 hours, this devil master had been tortured to the point where he could barely breathe. He grinned and carried this devil master up with large strides. The three demon masters up there heard footsteps. Streaks of black air came down. They could use the Asmodean chi to check. Psychic power was restricted here, but they could find another way to reach a long distance. However, when they saw that Luli was carrying a demon master at the peak, the three demon masters' expressions changed. Luli carried the demon master to the front, using the demon master as a meat shield. If they were to attack, Luli would put the demon master at the front. Although Luli's actions were shameless, it was important to know that Luli didn't kill the demon lord. If they attacked, the demon lord's death would be on them. Great ancestor Yuan didn't care. Whoever killed the demon master would be the one to blame. After all, they were the ones who initiated the attack. Luli carried the Asmodean lord up step by step. With a cold smile on his face, Luli shouted, "What is it? Keep attacking? Weren't you attacking so hard just now? How come you are all cowards now?" The three demon masters looked at each other and felt a headache coming on. Luli walked up step by step. If they let Luli get closer, they might not have the chance to kill him. They might even be attacked by Luli. If they wanted to attack, they had to do it now. Otherwise, they would have to retreat and find a chance to stop Luli from above. The question was how to do it. They had seen Luli's means and defense. If they wanted to stop Luli, they would have to kill the demon master. By then, they would have to take the blame. Swish, they didn't do anything, but Luli did. The divine chains of order swept over. The three demon masters were frightened. One of them reacted too late. He was hit by the divine chains of order and was smashed away. Half of his body was a bloody mess. Let's go. The other two demon masters didn't know what to do. They made up their minds and carried the wounded demon master up. Luli passed this level easily. Ha 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 ha. Luli laughed out loud and rushed forward step by step. He was relieved that he had passed this stage. He didn't release the Demon Master. Instead, he carried him. After all, it was not a big deal to drag a Demon Master with him. The Demon Master was a good meat shield. Luli took a look at the Demon Master. Seeing that his soul was injured, Luli stopped his soul attack. He was afraid that the Demon Master would be killed. Luli dragged the Demon Master up slowly. An hour later, the Demon Master woke up. Seeing that he was being carried by Luli, the Demon Master was about to make a move. Luli sneered and said, "Have you forgotten the pain now that the wound is healed? Do you want your soul to be tortured again?" The Demon Master glowed and was about to turn invisible. Luli released his soul attack at once. The Demon Master's soul was under another strong attack. The Demon Master's body was revealed. He held his head and screamed, "You won't do this the hard way." Chapter 2950. With a human shield, Luli's journey became smoother. In the next 10 days, he was ambushed 6 times. Every time, he would take the Asmodeans with him. Those Asmodeans that tried to stop him were afraid to attack. They had to step back and watch as Luli moved forward. Because of Blood Fairy, Luli was able to move faster under her guidance, even though he did not know the route well. Those Asmodeans might be able to tell where there were divine glyphs. That being said, they were not proficient in them. Even if they could, they would be at a loss. Luli was moving fast. Along the way, he came across another place with divine glyphs. When he realized he could not go around, he made up his mind. The divine glyphs here were clearly stronger. Luli had to use the dragon transformation. In the end, he was injured. He believed he had covered more than half of the distance. The gravity here was horrifying. Once again, he was slowed down by 10 times. Every now and then, he would have to take a break. He had a feeling that maybe it was because he was carrying the Asmodean Lord with him that the gravity was stronger. Luli gave a try. He left the Asmodean Lord aside and moved on by himself. As he expected, after 2 miles, he noticed the gravity was reduced. Qian Dagger once said that it would be more dangerous if there were too many Asmodeans gathered together. Later on, Luli did not encounter many Asmodeans or Asmodeans. At most, there would be 3. Luli could tell from this. He went back and took the Asmodean Lord with him. It was not easy to find a natural human shield. The enemies here must be strong. Without a human shield, it would be difficult to move forward. Luli moved on. The chances of encountering powerful warriors from the Abyss of Devils were reduced. He had been walking for 2 days without encountering any Asmodeans. When he reached this place, he could vaguely see a mountain. Luli was excited. There were only 2 mountains here. The one he saw must be the secondary one. The path became steeper, as if it was erected. The path became smoother. Normally, the steepness of the path would not matter. However, the gravity here was strong. One misstep and he might tumble down. Luli knew that the biggest test was coming. If there were obstacles that could only be passed by one person and there was a powerful Asmodean Lord, then it would be difficult for Luli to move forward. Fortunately, he had a human shield. Usually, there would be no problem. Whatever he wanted would come true. After walking for half a day, the road became steeper and another obstacle appeared. When Blood Fairy found the checkpoint, Luli knew there must be Asmodeans guarding it. "Master, there's a demon lord guarding it. His aura is very strong." Blood Fairy checked. Luli was not in a hurry. Instead, he sat on the ground and began to regulate his breaths so that he could be at the peak. After resting for half a day, Luli carried the meat shield and walked up step by step. Luli controlled the soul attacks very lightly, tormenting the meat shield. The meat shield could not run away or act recklessly. The demon lord didn't even think about running away or resisting. He was like a child in front of Luli. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape from Luli's palm. He had accepted his fate. All he had to do was wait for Luli to arrive at the peak, or wait for the battle to end. Soon, the Asmodean Lord sensed Luli's presence. The Asmodean Lord was filled with killing intent. He had been waiting here for a long time because he was informed that Luli was here. Ganlu. Ganlu was a talent of the young generation in the Abyss of Devils. He was from the same branch as the sacred ancestor Yuan. Though he was not directly related, his status was high. More importantly, he was a top talent in the abyss of devils. He was only second to Qianjing and Qiangang. Many elders in the abyss of devils believed he could become a sacred ancestor. Qianjing, or Lady Jing, and Qiangang had gone up. But Ganlu was not in a hurry. There were 10 places this time. Only 4 had gone up. As long as Ganlu stayed here, no one from the abyss of devils, Lu Li or Qi Tianyu, could go up. Ganlu hated humans very much. One of his direct ancestors was also a sacred ancestor. That ancestor died in a battle at the third heaven. It was said that his body was still hanging in a city at the third heaven for many years. Therefore, Ganlu did not like humans at all. In the past, Qi Tianyu was tortured by Ganlu many times. If it were not for the fact that sacred ancestor Yun took Ganlu as his protege, Qi Tianyu would have been tortured to death. Now, there was Lu Li, and it was sacred ancestor Tian who asked them to go to the pond. Ganlu had been to the pond to cultivate, and Lu Li and Qi Tianyu cultivating there would not affect the pond. But these two were humans. How could they go to their holy land to cultivate? Every time he thought of this, he would be filled with rage. Therefore, he was not in a hurry to go up. He was waiting for Lu Li and Qi Tianyu to come up. He wanted to tell them in person that there was no way they could go to the Heaven Pond if they wanted to go up the mountain last time. Lu Li was still more than 2 miles away from Qianlu, but he could already feel the strong, killing intent. A faintly discernible black airstream was floating around Lu Li. Qianlu could see everything Lu Li was doing. Lu Li knew this was a powerful warrior, probably at the later stage of the Asmodean Lord. He must be proficient in some miraculous skills. Lu Li felt this was not a good time. He had a human shield, but Ganlu would think of other ways to stop him. What else could Lu Li do now that he was here? He carried the Asmodean Lord in silence and walked up step by step. Up above, Ganlu had noticed that Lu Li was carrying an Asmodean Lord. Instead of being embarrassed, Ganlu's killing intent grew. Even though that Asmodean Lord was nothing to Ganlu, he could not allow a human to humiliate and torture him. Ganlu had an idea. With a glare, he disappeared up above. Lu Li tried to sense. There was no movement underground or in space. He was on high alert. No movement. What did it mean? It meant that this Asmodean Lord was very good at hiding. He could show up next to Lu Li and give him a hard blow. Buzzing, while Lu Li was looking around nervously, the ground under his feet suddenly glowed and then froze, forming something like a thick ice block. Lu Li was walking up. As soon as he slid down uncontrollably. Swish! The space above Lu Li's head was torn apart. Then a claw reached out toward Lu Li's head. Lu Li had already activated his armor of origin energy, but he didn't feel safe at the moment. He released the dragon transformation at once and lifted the Asmodean Lord above his head. Boom! The ice block under Lu Li suddenly exploded. It was a horrifying explosion. Lu Li's armor of origin energy was cracked open and he tumbled down. Phew. Lu Li tumbled down for 2 miles before he steadied himself. He crawled back up with a solemn look in his eyes. Just now, he did not suffer any serious injuries. Only a few scales fell off. However, judging from the 2 attacks just now, it would be extremely difficult for him to break through this barrier. Chapter 29:51. A talent that could be regarded as a sacred ancestor must be very powerful. Qianlu was highly regarded by the sacred ancestor Yuan. He had cultivated in all the sacred lands in the demonic abyss. His battle prowess was terrifying, and he wore a powerful armor. His attack, defense, speed, and other aspects were not too big of a flaw. If it were not for the fact that Lu Li was using the Asmodean Lord as a shield, Lu Li would not have only suffered minor injuries. He might have been seriously injured. Lu Li felt the same way, because when the ice below him exploded, only some of it exploded. If all the ice had exploded, the impact would have been horrifying. That Asmodean Lord would have been killed. Lu Li stepped back for thousands of feet. He deactivated his dragon transformation and took some pellets. He began to think about how he could get out of this situation. This ice was too abnormal. Most importantly, under such circumstances, the mountain was so steep and the gravity was too terrifying. As soon as the ice came out, Luli could not stand still. It was not ordinary ice, but a special substance. As soon as the ice came out, it was hard for him to stand still. The Asmodean Lord's attack came without warning. The ice exploded without warning as well. It was very powerful. His origin energy armor was cracked in an instant. How powerful was it? Luli thought for a while. There was nothing he could do. After a moment of rest, he rushed up again. This time, he released his origin energy armor, heavenly armor, dragon wrestling, and dragon transformation. He was fully armed. When he got to his original position, the ground was frozen again. This time, Luli reacted quickly. He took out a heavy sword and stabbed at the ground. His strength was horrifying. He believed that with his strength, he could stab in easily. As long as he could, he would be able to stabilize himself. When Qianlu attacked, he would have a chance to react. Boom! However, when he stabbed into the ice exploded. Following that, a surge of horrifying air spread out. Luli was even knocked away. This time, he didn't even need to attack. Luli rolled down directly. The Asmodean Lord was injured as well. He rolled down with Luli. Swish, as Luli tumbled down, a claw appeared in midair. This time, the claw was not aimed at Luli, but at the Demon Lord. Of course, Qianlu wouldn't attack the Demon Lord. Instead, he wanted to capture the Demon Lord so that Luli would have no more obstacles. Luli reacted quickly, not giving Qianlu any chance. Luli exerted his strength and threw the Asmodean Lord off. What an evil spell technique. After Luli rolled down, he grabbed the Demon Lord in his hand again. He had a headache. In the Devil Abyss, it was not called a true intent mystique, but a Dharma spell. This spell was too strange. There was no way to break it in this situation. Let's risk it. After a moment of rest, Luli made up his mind. He decided to take a gamble. He was ready to attack that Asmodean Lord to see if he could stop the Asmodean Lord. How could he give up now that he had come this far? After he was fully armed, he quickly picked up the Demon Lord and sped up. At the same time, he activated the Dao mark to lock onto Qianlu's location. The two soul swords in his mind had already formed. Hoi! Before Qianlu arrived at his original position, Luli yelled. He took out some divine chains of order and swung them upward. At the same time, he released his Dharma form. A silver dragon roared and flew up. His sword of soul was released, targeting at Qianlu. Buzzing. While Lu Li was attacking, Qianlu disappeared. All of Lu Li's attacks missed. Then, there was a glow under Lu Li's feet. The ground began to freeze. Then, the ice exploded and Lu Li was blasted off again. He was out of options. Lu Li was frustrated. That Asmodean Lord was too strong. Lu Li's attacks were ineffective. The terrain here was steep. Qianlu alone was the pass. Lu Li cannot go up. If you are a man, come down and fight with me. If you can defeat me, I won't go up to the Holy Dragon Mountain. Lu Li shouted. He hoped that the Asmodean Lord would come down and fight with him. If he lost, Lu Li would turn around and go down at once. Instead of being a coward, he would rather have a vigorous fight. Ha ha! Qianlu sneered and said, Human, you don't have to provoke me. I've been to the Heaven Pond. It doesn't matter whether I go or not. I won't let an alien race like you go up. Don't even think about entering the Heaven Pond. Lu Li continued to provoke. Don't you hate me? Come down and beat me to the ground. You can torture me all you want. As a genius of the Sacred Abyss, you don't even have the courage to do that. Even the top geniuses of the Sacred Abyss are so weak. Ha! Qianlu sneered again and said, Don't worry. After this fight, I will find you and have a good fight. I promise I will satisfy all your needs. Whatever you say now is useless. This time, you don't have a chance. Lu Li didn't give up. He laughed and said, If you were so confident, why don't you dare now? Coward, trash. You only know how to take advantage of the terrain. If it weren't for the fact that I'm not familiar with the Holy Dragon Mountain, I would have gone up first. None of your bullsh asterisk T geniuses from the sacred abyss can go up. Lu Li's words were very hurtful. If it were any other genius from the demon abyss, they would have flown into a rage and killed him. For Qian Lu to be able to cultivate to this level at such a young age, it was obvious that he was extremely smart. His breathing sped up and killing intent appeared in his eyes, but he quickly calmed down and sat down without saying a word. Trash, trash, shameless. Sacred abyss brat, get down here and die. If you dare to come down, I can kill you with one palm. You really want to cultivate for your elders? Think about how powerful sacred ancestor Yuan is. You must be the descendant of one, right? How can you be so cowardly and only dare to take advantage of the terrain to sneak attack? Bah trash. Sacred abyss brat, do you dare to come down and fight me? If you don't dare, then get down the mountain. Don't embarrass yourself here. Lu Li continued to curse for the time it took for half an incense stick to burn. After that, Qian Lu completely ignored Lu Li. He just sat there cross-legged, as if he had closed his senses. Lu Li was completely convinced. This genius from the demon abyss didn't seem like a citizen of the demon abyss at all. He had no guts at all and was terrifyingly rational. Even a young master of the human race would have attacked him without a care in the world, let alone a powerful warrior from the demon abyss. Lu Li didn't continue. He didn't scold people for fun, but to provoke them, even though it did feel good. But he was an Emperor Realm warrior. It would be shameful to continue. Since Qian Lu didn't take the bait, Lu Li had to find another way. Trash. I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't want to go to the Heaven Lake anymore. Lu Li suddenly shouted. He turned around and walked down with the demon master. Soon, they disappeared into the thick white mist. Qian Lu opened his eyes at this moment, smiled mockingly, and closed his eyes again to rest. For hours later, Lu Li came back. When he saw that Qian Lu was still standing on the checkpoint like a welcoming pine tree, Lu Li had the urge to spit out blood. Chapter 2952. Lu Li was at his wit's end. He didn't leave and just sat there. In any case, if he couldn't go to the Heaven Lake, then so be it. He was also prepared to wait here for a while so that the people below couldn't go up. He reckoned that at such a high altitude, there weren't many paths leading up the mountain. There might only be one, or at most two. He didn't care anymore. If he couldn't go up, he wouldn't let the other demon sovereigns go up either. Time passed bit by bit. Half a day later, there were indeed demon lords coming up from below. The demon lord below them was not an illusory body. Under the suppression of the gravity here, it was even more difficult for them to move forward in their illusory forms. Therefore, they could only rely on their feet to move forward. Sensing the human energy on Lu Li, the Asmodean lord stopped and released some Asmodean energy to check. When he sensed that Lu Li was blocking the only exit, he was enraged. He didn't stop and rushed up. Lu Li locked onto him from afar and released the Sword of Soul. But the Asmodean lord's soul had been transferred. Lu Li's soul attack did not work. Lu Li released his Dharma form, which worked this time. The Asmodean lord could not stand it any longer. He had to step back or he would be injured. Damn it, human scum, you dare to stop me? Do you know who I am? The Asmodeans bellowed in anger. Lu Li said with a smile, Who are you? Tell me your name. Maybe I'll be afraid of you. I am Qinyu. The Devil Lord shouted angrily. Lu Li had been waiting for the Asmodean Lord to say something else. However, the Asmodean Lord said nothing. Lu Li blinked in confusion and asked, Are you famous? Why haven't I heard of it? The Devil Sovereign was infuriated. He was the direct descendant of sacred ancestor Yin. Although he was not as talented as Qian Gang, Qian Lu, and Qian Jing, he was very famous in the Devil Abyss. Because his father was the third elder of the Demon Abyss, there were not many people in the Demon Abyss who did not know of his name. Therefore, he only told Lu Li his name. He had thought that since Lu Li had surrendered, Lu Li would ask about the Abyss of Demons. How could Lu Li not know about his reputation? Back then, he was a hedonistic young master with a notorious reputation in the demonic abyss. Of course, in his own words, his name shook the sacred abyss. Qianyu was enraged. He didn't care about anything else and continued to rush forward. Before he even got close to Lu Li, he had already started his attack. He gathered many strands of dark air and transformed them into dragons that whooshed toward Lu Li. Lu Li had the geographical advantage. He released his Dharma form and released his origin energy at the same time. The Dharma form hit Qianyu, and Qianyu's attack hit Lu Li. Boom! Lu Li's armor of origin energy was shattered, but he only took 2 steps back. Qianyu's body was blown away, covered in blood. On the other hand, Lu Li only lost a few scales. Human scum, if I don't kill you, my name isn't Qianyu. Qianyu was enraged. A small stamp came out from the ring in his hand. As soon as the stamp came out, Lu Li's expressions changed. This small seal gave him the feeling that it was an emperor weapon. In the demon abyss, it was rare to see a magic weapon. It seemed that this Qianyu was a disciple of a super big family. Dense black gas flickered on the small seal, its aura vast and boundless, like a miniature version of the sacred Dragon Mountain. Lu Li took out his divine order chain and swept it toward the small seal. When the 2 relic weapons bumped into each other, it was as if 2 mountains had bumped into each other. With a muffled sound, the space around them trembled. Waves of air swept out. Lu Li was forced back again. Qianyu, on the other hand, tumbled down again. This place was too steep. More importantly, the gravity here was horrifying. Just a little bit of help could make someone tumble down. Qianyu shouted in rage. He had used his artifact, but it didn't work. This human scum had a treasure as well. Up above, Qianlu had been alerted. He heard Qianyu's shouts, but he didn't do anything. He disliked Qianyu. This was a notorious young master, and Qianlu didn't want to be associated with him. Qianlu just wanted to stay here and stop Lu Li and Qianyu from coming up. If Qianyu could get past Lu Li and come up, then Qianlu would let him go. Qianlu would not make things difficult for people of the demon abyss. Qianyu came up again and again in rage, but was smashed down by Lu Li every time. Qianyu was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He just kept yelling. When they got out, he would tear Lu Li into pieces and let Lu Li die without a burial place. Lu Li ignored Qianyu's threats. The demon abyss was a place of rules. Saint Ancestor Tian clearly valued Lu Li. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent Qian Dagger to the demon abyss and given Lu Li the chance to enter the pond. Lu Li didn't know why Saint Ancestor Tian valued him so much, but he was sure that no powerful warriors of the demon abyss would dare to kill him. If so, what was there for him to be afraid of? Most powerful warriors of the demon abyss were not happy with him. He could see powerful Asmodeans on their knees every day, but they wouldn't like him. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Qianyu was covered in wounds. Lu Li didn't pay him any attention. Qianyu didn't want to scold Lu Li because Lu Li didn't respond. Qianyu's wounds were so serious that he had to leave and find a place to tend to his wounds. Lu Li deactivated the dragon transformation and began to tend to his wounds. An hour later, he heard some noises. Lu Li thought it was Qianyu coming up again. However, Blood Fairy said, "Master, it is Qianyu." Qianyu? A glint of coldness rose in Lu Li's eyes. He was filled with murderous intent. But soon, the murderous intent vanished. Did that Asmodean lord seem to hate humans? If so, why not let Qianyu lead the way? Lu Li could observe from the side and see Qianyu's abilities. Lu Li moved to the side and made way for Qianyu. He moved to the left for 2 miles on purpose in case Qianyu was afraid to go up. Soon, Qianyu came up. He sensed Lu Li and Qianlu. Qianyu frowned. A glint of hatred rose in his eyes. Back in the days, Qianyu was tortured by Qianlu for many years. Qianyu was afraid to go up now that Qianlu was guarding up there. After a long moment of hesitation, Qianyu walked to Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, how about we work together? None of us can go up." Work together? Lu Li had thought that Qianyu was here to mock him. Surprisingly, Qianyu was here to ask for cooperation. Lu Li waved his hand without hesitation. "I don't want to go up. I don't care about the heaven pond. Go if you want." Qianyu's expressions changed. He did not reply in a hurry. After a while, Qi Tianyu said, Luli, you can settle the score between us anytime you want. The Heaven Pond is the most sacred place in the sacred abyss. When we go in, our physical strength, soul, and energy will be enhanced. Don't you cultivate your physical strength? Isn't your soul strong as well? If you can go to the Heaven Pond, I promise you that you will be 10 or 20 times stronger. Physical strength and soul. Chapter 2953. Luli was happy to cooperate. They began to discuss the details. Luli told Qi Tianyu about what happened. Qi Tianyu thought for the time for one incense stick to burn before he said, if we want to go up, we must defeat Qianlu. To do that, we must sneak up on him. Luli raised his eyebrows and said, I think he is at the later stage of the Asmodean Lord. He is very powerful. There's only one way, and it will be hard for us to sneak up on him. He is very alert. I will distract him, Qi Tianyu said with determination. I will go up first, and you follow me. I will take his attacks. When he is attacking, you will have a chance to capture his real body. Aren't your soul attacks strong? Target him with soul attacks. Luli didn't expect that Qi Tianyu would be so dedicated. That being said, it was not like they could kill anyone here. Even if Qi Tianyu took the lead, he would only be seriously injured. As long as he was not dead, injuries were not a big deal. Luli thought about it and said, my soul attacks are good, but it is hard for me to target his real body. If I can, then there is still hope. That is easy, Qi Tianyu said mysteriously. I have some understanding of Qianlu's habits. Every time he attacks, he will turn into an incorporeal body. When he attacks, his incorporeal body will be revealed. Normally, his soul will be hidden where his heart is because there is a treasure near his heart. Got it. Luli nodded and waved his hand. Off you go then. I will be right behind you. Qi Tianyu didn't move. He asked, should we disguise ourselves? Confused Qianlu? If we just rush up like this, we will be seen through. What is there to disguise? Luli sneered and said, we have been plotting here for half a day. Qianlu is not an idiot. No disguise will work. Let's just fight. Qi Tianyu thought it made sense. He strode toward the tunnel. After the time for dozens of breaths, Luli left the Asmodean Lord aside and released a soul attack so that he could not run away. Then, Luli put on his armor and followed Qi Tianyu. Hoi! After Qi Tianyu walked to the entrance of the passageway, the robe on his body suddenly exploded. Then, his body swelled up crazily, and black scales appeared on his body. He had turned into a demon abyss soldier. Black chi swirled around his body, and his eyes became blood red. A vertical eye appeared on his forehead, and he looked no different from the demon abyss soldiers. He strode upward. Halfway up, Luli caught up with him. Luli used a trace of Tao to sense the surroundings, trying to find Qianlu's real body. When Qi Tianyu was 3,000 meters away from Qianlu, the ground beneath his feet suddenly froze, and Qianlu disappeared. Qi Tianyu was prepared for this. At this moment, his body actually shot up into the sky. He resisted the gravity and rushed dozens of feet into the sky. He didn't do this to prevent the eyes from exploding, but to attract Ganlu's attention. In this way, Luli could have a chance to capture Ganlu's real body and continue his attack. Just as Qi Tianyu had expected, Qianlu attacked. Spatial ripples appeared in the air, and a huge hand clawed towards Qi Tianyu's left chest. There he is. Luli noticed the movement of space. A semi-transparent shadow appeared in midair. Luli sensed it as well. There was a slight fluctuation in the space around Qianlu's chest. That must be where his soul was. Luli didn't take action. For one thing, Qianlu was about to disappear. For another, he was too far away. By the time he made his move, Qianlu's soul would have been transferred. He muttered to himself for a moment before releasing an origin energy attack. As the origin energy attack whistled through the air, Qianlu's illusory figure disappeared. The origin energy blade tore through the air, not harming Qianlu at all. Qi Tianyu was hit, and he tumbled down. Luli had stepped back as well. He watched as Qi Tianyu tumbled down. Some of the black scales on Qi Tianyu's chest were broken. His chest was bleeding. He rolled around on the ground, glared at Lu Li, and said, "Lu Li, why didn't you do anything? Why are you still trying to trick me at a time like this? Is it fun? Is it fun?" Looking at Qi Tianyu's angry face, Lu Li somehow felt pleased. He grinned and replied, "It is not fun, and it is not fun at all. Don't worry. If I wanted to trick you, I would have done it already. I could injure you badly and torture you to death. What can you do to me?" Qi Tianyu looked better. He asked, "Then why didn't you do anything?" "I did. Didn't you see that I attacked with origin energy?" Lu Li shrugged, tried to annoy Qi Tianyu. As expected, Qi Tianyu was furious again. Seeing that Qi Tianyu was about to say something, Lu Li waved his hand and said, "That was not the best time. Even if I had used my soul attack, it would not have affected him. You should trust in my ability to grasp opportunities. I did not rely on luck to reach the third heaven from the mortal world. I killed my way up with my saber. You must understand, we may only have one chance. If I try my best and fail, then we will never be able to go up." Qi Tianyu said nothing. Lu Li's words made sense. He could tell that Lu Li wanted to go up. Therefore, Lu Li would not be a burden. He nodded and said, "Then let's try some more. You won't kill me anyway. Don't trick me. Find a chance and do it. Otherwise, none of us will be able to go up." "Don't worry." Lu Li waved his hand and said, "Go and tend to your wounds. This is not a place to kill people. Even if I want to kill you, I will not do it here. Hurry up. There may be more Asmodeans coming up. One of them was knocked down by me just now, and he is tending to his wounds." Qi Tianyu dared not to waste any more time. He went to the side to cultivate at once. He recovered quickly. In just over 2 hours, he had recovered by more than half. He stood up, threw a look at Lu Li, and rushed up. This time, everything went as planned. When Qi Tianyu was halfway up, Qian Lu began to attack Qi Tianyu. Lu Li began to look for opportunities. Still, Qian Lu did not give Lu Li any chance. Qi Tianyu was knocked down again. Luckily, he was not seriously injured this time. 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, Qi Tianyu was knocked down again and again, but Lu Li did not use his full strength. Qi Tianyu was frustrated. He was injured many times while Lu Li was safe and sound. Qi Tianyu was furious, but there was nothing he could do. "No, I won't go up." Qi Tianyu fell down again. Seeing that Lu Li did not do anything this time, Qi Tianyu said angrily, "If you want to go up, you do it. I'm not going up. Damn it. I am suffering up there, and you're having a good time at the back." "Little Qi," Lu Li said earnestly, "what's the big deal about suffering a little? Trust me. Do you think I will trick you? Am I that kind of person? Don't worry. I have some ideas. You can try 8 or 10 times, and you will succeed. 8 or 10 times." Chapter 2954. Qi Tianyu went on, but he was smacked down again and again. After 3 times, another Asmodean lord came down. Qianyu recovered and went on. Qianyu. Qi Tianyu sensed it. His expressions were awful. A glint of killing intent rose in his eyes. He remembered that Qianyu once bullied him as well. Lu Li waved his hand and said, "Qi, go and tend to your wounds. I will smack him down first, and then we will go up." "Smack him down?" Qi Tianyu sneered and said, "Lu Li, do you know who he is? Do you know his background? You will suffer if you offend him." "Ha ha." Lu Li smiled carelessly and said, "I have already offended him. I smacked him half to death, and he had to go back to tend to his wounds." "Background? Is he the grandson of sacred ancestor Yuan?" "He is the direct descendant of sacred ancestor Yun." Qi Tianyu explained seriously. "His grandpa is the 3rd patriarch of the sacred abyss. He is in a high position. I suggest you don't offend him. If things get out of hand, even I will be implicated." "You're afraid of being implicated by me, right?" "Ha ha ha." Lu Li laughed. Seeing Qianyu coming up, Lu Li released his Dharma form and smashed Qianyu down. Lu Li began to curse. He even cursed Qi Tianyu, using all kinds of threatening words. Qi Tianyu was anxious. He wanted to explain, but he could not since he was with Lu Li. He glared at Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, Don't drag me down with you if you want to die. Qi Tianyu. Lu Li looked at him seriously and said, I think you have been humiliated in the years you have been in the Asmodeans. You don't understand one thing. You are not being bullied because you are the apprentice of sacred ancestor Yun, and because you have been improving fast. If it were not for these two reasons, do you think tolerating them and groveling to them will work? Whether I deal with them or not, they will come to me and they will try their best to bully me. If so, why should I show them mercy? If sacred ancestor Yin wants to kill me, nothing I do will help. On the contrary, if they feel that I am useful, they wouldn't mind even if I go overboard. Do you understand this logic? Qi Tianyu paused for a second. On second thoughts, Lu Li's words made sense. The powerhouses of the Devil Abyss didn't dare to target him, not because of his attitude, but because of sacred ancestor Yun's attitude. It didn't matter if he was meek or arrogant for the rest of his life. Something is not right. Qi Tianyu shook his head. He was different from Lu Li. As soon as Lu Li surrendered, he was valued by sacred ancestor Tian. At that time, when he came to seek refuge, he was just a slave of a demon master. Later on, he turned on this demon master and gained his freedom. At the beginning, when he was bullied and humiliated, he only had the cultivation of a demon master. If he dared to be arrogant, he would definitely be dead by then. This isn't fair. Qi Tianyu was suffering. They were both surrenders. Why did he have to suffer for so many years while Lu Li could enjoy such a good life? They were all dogs of the demon abyss, so why was there such a huge difference in treatment? Boom, boom, boom. Lu Li smashed Qianyu down again and again. Qianyu's curses became more and more unpleasant. Later on, because Lu Li ignored him, Qianyu began to insult Qi Tianyu. He threatened Qi Tianyu that he would break Qi Tianyu's bones one by one later. Qi Tianyu knew Qianyu would do what he said. Qianyu is a devil incarnate who used his family's power to run amok in the demon abyss. Apart from a few demon lords that dared not to offend him, he didn't care about any other people at the demon abyss. Qianyu is very vindictive as well. I must go up. Qi Tianyu looked up and decided to leave Qianyu alone. He sat with his legs crossed to heal his wounds. Only by going up could he enter the Heaven Lake. He believed that if he could cultivate in the Heaven Lake for 10 years, his strength would be transformed. When he was strong enough, he wouldn't be afraid of Qianyu's revenge. He had been through inhumane torture in the past few years. He didn't want to go through it again. This time, he could not allow himself to fail. He would die on the secondary peak, even if he had to die. Qianyu was hit for more than a dozen times and was seriously injured again. He left, swearing. Qi Tianyu healed for 2 hours before he got up and went up as well. Lu Li followed him with a smile, trying to find a chance. There were many times when Lu Li didn't make a move, but he didn't rush. For one thing, he wanted Qi Tianyu to suffer more. For another, he wanted to numb Qian Lu so he could find the best time to strike. He knew he only had one chance. If he couldn't succeed, then Qian Lu wouldn't give him another chance. Qi Tianyu's injuries were serious after he was hit down for another 2 times. But he didn't treat his wounds. Instead, he made up his mind and rushed up. Lu Li followed Qi Tianyu with a smile on his face. On the way, ice formed under Qi Tianyu's feet again. He flew up, and this time, he released his attack. Qian Lu disappeared, and the ice under his feet exploded. At the same time, the space on Qi Tianyu's left shoulder was torn apart as a claw came at him. This is it. Lu Li sensed where Qian Lu was. 2 rays of golden light shot out from his eyes. He flew up and stabbed at the shadow behind the claw. At the same time, Lu Li shouted, Qi Tianyu. Qi Tianyu was a smart man. He knew Lu Li must have exerted his full strength. Black air surged out from Qi Tianyu's body and swept toward the shadow, trying to buy Lu Li some time. Buzzing, the 2 rays of golden light pierced through the shadow and aimed at Qian Lu's soul. This was Lu Li's most powerful soul attack. After he released it, he didn't care about anything else. He took out the divine chains of order and swept them up. Once again, he shouted, Qi Tianyu. Qi Tianyu had been hit by Qian Lu. His left shoulder was bleeding, but he didn't care anymore. His body became a shadow. His vertical eye glowed and shot out a ray of black light. Boom! Lu Li's divine chains of order swept over. Qian Lu was hit by Lu Li's soul attack. Even though his soul wasn't badly hurt, he could no longer maintain the shadow and was revealed. The divine chains of order reached Qian Lu. He put on an armor, but it only protected his upper body. His lower body was badly injured. Boy, Qi Tianyu cooperated well. He turned from a shadow into a real body and reached toward Qian Lu. Lu Li's eyes glowed again. 2 more swords of soul were shot out to attack Qian Lu's soul. Boom! Qian Lu suddenly released an attack, and a violent explosion sounded out. Qi Tianyu was pressed down from the sky, his chest and face a bloody mess. The divine chains of order in Lu Li's hands glowed again. Qian Lu was angry. The attack on his soul was strong. He knew that if he didn't leave now, he might be seriously injured by Lu Li and Qi Tianyu. By then, he would be tortured by them. You're lucky this time. When the fight is over, I will have fun with you. Chapter 2955. Without any hesitation, Lu Li didn't care whether Qi Tianyu was still alive or not. He rushed up. Qi Tianyu was lying on the ground. His breath was weak, and he seemed to be badly injured. Lu Li wanted to kill Qi Tianyu right away, but he didn't want to be locked up for 100,000 years. That was not hundreds or thousands of years, but 100,000 years. Lu Li would rather die than be locked up for 100,000 years. Even though Qi Tianyu was lying on the ground like a dead dog, Lu Li fought back his desire to kill him and left him alone. Lu Li was only 100 feet away from Qi Tianyu. He was about to go up and throw Qi Tianyu down when Blood Fairy suddenly said, "Master, be careful. That man is going to hurt you." Lu Li's hair stood on end. A glint of coldness rose in his eyes. He sensed something was wrong. Qi Tianyu's energy was gathering quickly. Swish! Qi Tianyu made a move. His body became a shadow, and then many huge black dragons whooshed on and attacked Lu Li. Lu Li was enraged. They had just crossed the river, and Qi Tianyu was going to burn the bridge? This man was vicious to the extreme. Lu Li reacted quickly. His Dharma form had been formed. It whooshed over and bumped into the black dragons. With a deafening noise, a blast of air swept across. Lu Li was smashed by the blast and rolled over. Qi Tianyu was hurt by the blast. He was already injured, and the impact worsened his condition. He looked back at Lu Li with a trace of regret in his eyes. Qi Tianyu had planned to launch a sneak attack when Lu Li was close enough to injure Lu Li. He didn't expect Lu Li to be so alert and react so quickly. Since there was no hope of a sneak attack, Qi Tianyu did not force it. He knew that he could not stop Lu Li given his abilities. Qi Tianyu rushed up. Lu Li snorted. He rushed up with killing intent in his eyes. If he could catch up with Qi Tianyu, Lu Li would make him wish he was dead. Lu Li went after Qi Tianyu. When he reached the level, Lu Li noticed that Qi Tianyu had disappeared. Lu Li pressed on. After a couple of miles, Lu Li found nothing. He knew that Qi Tianyu must have escaped in another direction. It would be difficult to find him. Lu Li had to rest and heal his wounds. He had passed this level and was not far from the top of the secondary peak. He guessed that the last time he reached the peak, there would definitely be another demon lord intercepting him. As long as he could break through that barrier, he would be able to reach the peak. Therefore, there was only one last obstacle left. He had to go all out and maintain his best condition. He rested for an entire day and even took a short nap. His condition was at its peak. Go! Lu Li asked Blood Fairy to lead the way. They dashed toward the top of the mountain as fast as they could. This time, the journey was smooth except for one rune. This time, the divine glyphs were more powerful. Lu Li had to use all kinds of means before he could make it. He was seriously injured and had to find a place to recuperate. This time, he rested for a full 3 days before continuing. After 2 days of smooth travel, he arrived at the foot of the mountain peak. He could already see the peak. Though it was foggy, Lu Li could faintly see the peak. He had a feeling that there were people on the peak. Someone must have gone up. Lu Li slowly made his way to the peak. The gravity was the same as before. But Luli believed that the gravity would increase after a while. Also, before he reached the peak, there would be demon lords that would intercept him. 1,000 feet, 2 miles, 15,000 feet. Luli felt his body was weighed down. He felt the gravity had increased by 10 times. He could not even straighten his back. He raised his head and looked up. He felt that he was at most 100,000 feet away from the peak, but this 100,000 feet was the most difficult to reach. Master, there are powerful warriors from the abyss of devils guarding at the middle of the mountain. Blood Fairy's words confirmed Lu Li's speculation. She added, there are only 2 ways to the peak. Both of them have powerful warriors of the Asmodean Lord level. One of them is the one you fought on his own. Qianlu. Lu Li's heart was weighed down. He did not run into Qianlu along the way. Lu Li knew that Qianlu must have gone ahead. He did not expect that Qianlu would be waiting for him at the middle of the mountain. The peak was as steep as before, and the gravity was 10 times stronger. The possibility of reaching the peak was almost zero. This time, Qi Tianyu was not with him. Even if Qi Tianyu were here, Qianlu would not give Lu Li the chance. Both paths had been blocked. Lu Li took a deep breath. He was about to reach the peak. He had to try. It did not matter if he could succeed or not. At least, he had tried. Lu Li walked up step by step. He asked around and decided to take a detour to the other side. He did not want to fight Qianlu. Qianlu had been attacked by Lu Li and Qi Tianyu once. Qianlu would not give Lu Li another chance. Therefore, Lu Li could not go to the side guarded by Qianlu. He had to go to the other side to try his luck. After an hour, Lu Li arrived at the checkpoint. He sensed the powerful Asmodean Lord up there. A moment later, Lu Li's heart sank. This Asmodean Lord was even more powerful than Qianlu. Based on what Qi Tianyu said, the identity of this Asmodean Lord was obvious. Qiangang. There were 3 geniuses from the Asmodean abyss, Qianjing, Qiangang, and Qianlu. Qiangang was ranked higher than Qianlu. There was no doubt that he was at the later stage of the Asmodean Lord. Not the peak, but he must have some powerful means. Lu Li. When Lu Li didn't go up after a while, the Asmodean Lord shouted, "Why don't you come up? I have been waiting for you for a long time." Lu Li thought about it and replied, "Are you Lord Qiangang?" "Yes, I am." Qiangang replied with a smile. "You don't have to call me Lord and don't try to get close to me. When you cut off my brother's arm at the Holy Mountain, did you ever think about this day?" Lu Li knew that he could not make peace today. On one side was Qianlu, who hated humans, and on the other side was Qiangang, who hated Lu Li. No matter which way he went, he would be blocked. It would be as difficult as climbing up to heaven. Lu Li thought about it and asked, "Do you have to do this? Can't we talk?" "You can talk." Qiangang sneered and said, "You have the right to talk, and I have the right not to listen. I just want to tell you one thing. If you want to go up to the peak, you'll have to injure me badly. Otherwise, no way." Rustle, rustle, rustle. Suddenly, they heard some footsteps. Lu Li and Qiangang looked up and saw a beautiful girl. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.